updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with real America's voice.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except real America's voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
Ahead on American Sunrise Early Edition, America has become a nation divided between those who commit or enable violence and those who want to do something to stop it. The latest flashpoint is Portland, Oregon, but there aren't any real sidelines anymore anywhere in America. A battle of another kind is brewing in Washington, D.C., as President Trump will meet with congressional leaders today to discuss what it will take to pass a spending bill and avoid a government shutdown. One thing is for sure, the stigma of being blamed for causing a shutdown no longer packs the same punch it once did in the polls. Back to the violence in America. The man who attacked a Mormon church in suburban Flint, Michigan yesterday with shots fired and explosives has been identified as a 40-year-old veteran of the Iraq War. Police and the FBI are searching for a motive. The shooter was killed, as was one innocent victim. In New York, incumbent Eric Adams drops out of the mayor's race. But is this a case of too little too late to stop Zohran Mamdani from winning? And how on earth did an illegal alien with a gun charge against him get hired to the $300,000 a year job as superintendent of a school district in Iowa? Actually, it's easy to understand. Well, his hiring was a secret for one thing, but there's more to the story. American Sunrise Early Edition begins now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
Your good deeds and bad deeds. That's how we're going to judge you.
Join host Jake Novak as he breaks down the stories that matter.
We will be letting the public know regularly what we have found.
American Sunrise Early Edition with your host, Jake Novak, starts now.
Hi, I'm Jake Novak. Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. Thank you so much for joining us. As I said, it's been a very, very busy weekend here in the United States. We've got some stories that are still developing. We've got a storm in the Atlantic, off the Atlantic coast that we're watching very carefully. We have the developments of that deadly shooting and explosive attack on a Mormon church in suburban Flint, Michigan yesterday that we're watching to try to get more information on the man who committed that act. And of course, we have a budget bill battle, government shutdown on the front burner. So many things going on today. Helping us get through a lot of it is right now Republican Congressman Randy Fine from the state of Florida. Congressman Fine, I'm sorry to say this, and this is something we talked about before, but I'm sorry to say this, but it really feels very much like we're in the middle now of a kinetic, physical, violent civil war in America. And like the Confederacy of old, Congressman, we have politicians in certain states who are working overtime to block federal authorities, National Guard troops or FBI agents or ICE agents from coming in and reestablishing the peace. I just have to get your overall take on this. Obviously, Portland is the flashpoint right now, but there's a lot of problems across the country in these blue states where their leaders are not allowing for peace and justice to unfold.
Well, the sad fact is that I thought you were going to say Chicago, not Portland. And the fact that there's multiple cities where you can make these statements just tells you how bad we are. I think maybe the way to describe it is a cold civil war, where you don't have troops amassed in the town square firing at each other, but you've got one side that's clearly engaging in violence over and over and over again, trying to stop the government, the federal government, from doing its lawful duties, and frankly, is trying to facilitate the foreign invasion of people from other countries. So I think we're in a very terrible place as a country, and it makes me very concerned about what our future looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's generally cold, but these sporadic attacks are picking up. They're picking up, yes. And they seem to be planned. They seem to be coordinated. And at this point, it's only one group that's firing shots at the other. And that's really disturbing. Congressman, it feels almost ridiculous to shift from this brewing civil war, this violence in America, to talking about elected officials enabling it, and then go to a discussion about an impending government shutdown. But as you know, Karl von Clausewitz said that war is politics by other means, and LBJ said politics is war. And this budget shutdown battle, with the Democrats basically deciding that they're willing to shut the government down unless taxpayers like you and me give illegal aliens pay for their health care, seems like an act of war in its own way, a political act of war.
Yeah, I was going to say they're linked. Really, when you're willing to shut the government down in order to provide free health care to illegal immigrants, and frankly, when you're willing to shut the government down in order to try to add $1.5 trillion of new debt, which will inevitably lead to the country's collapse down the road, you have to wonder if you're dealing with people whose goal is to build America or to destroy America. We passed a nonpartisan, non-controversial 7-week extension to allow us to finish doing the budget in regular order, which the Democrats will have the same amount of leverage over as they do right now. But they're not willing to let that happen. They want the government to shut down if we don't continue to give billions to illegal immigrants. And it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I don't think the Democrats seem to think this is still 2017 when they could get a lot of juice, I'll say, from a number of different avenues in America just for standing up to President Trump, even if it's ridiculous. Well, now you need to have a better reason. And as you described, there's no reason for them to not vote for an extension. Now, if they were trying to be budget hawks, Congressman, if they were saying, hey, we got to get spending under control and we got to, no, we're not going to take this 7-week extension, that would be one thing. But they want to spend more. So it makes no sense. And I also don't think people care about a shutdown as much as they did. This is also not 1995, let alone 2017. People are not up in arms about shutdowns anymore. Congressman, let's talk about the indictment. Go ahead, Congressman. Go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I don't think they do. I think the other problem we have is the Democrats playing to their far left base. I mean, the same Democratic leaders who just a few months ago said, no, it's irresponsible to shut down the government, have completely flipped their tune, because when they did that a few months ago, they got so much grief from that far left radical base, the base that frankly is fomenting the violence in our country.
Yeah, and this would be an act of violence in its own way. Congressman, let's talk about the indictment of James Comey, because as I showed, and I wasn't the only one, so many people have showed the open and shut case evidence against James Comey, lying about leaking evidence and stories about the Russia collusion investigation to the news media more than once to Congress. And I'd like to get your take on the way that I'm basically trying to lay this out to people who are confused about what's going on here. If we're going to say that the Russia collusion hoax investigation was a serious crime, and it was, if we're going to say that all of this caused so much grief in America, families broke up, friendships broke up, and also, most importantly, our intelligence community has lost all of the confidence that the American people had in it. These are serious crimes. If we're going to say those are serious crimes, because they are, and then we're not going to punish the people who enabled it, then we're lying. And so very simply, this has to happen. This charge has to happen. This is someone who absolutely made sure that this investigation went on, made sure a lot of people believed it, and continued the real damage that I described before. I don't see how James Comey can be the only one indicted. In fact, it's not a question of, they shouldn't have indicted him. The question should be, who else? Because there were so many other people involved in this.
And look, I hope you're starting to see the beginning of it. The real extraordinary thing about the James Comey situation is the sanctimony with which he lectured us for years about honesty in government and everything else, while he was clearly lying in an effort to, frankly, execute a coup against Donald Trump. I mean, the deep state is real, and we're seeing it right here in terms of what these wacko leftists will do to keep power. The only way we get them to stop is if we hold them accountable. And we warned the Democrats when they came after President Trump, there would be consequences for doing it. And James Comey is only going to be the first to see what that means.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to understand the damage done. I don't know too many right-wingers or left-wingers who believe an intelligence community anymore. And that's scary. I mean, it just simply is. And, again, the left might say, well, and now we support them. Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, that's the result of, frankly, the Biden 4 years, the destruction of confidence in government, whether it's how they handled COVID or they handled intelligence. Democrats have weaponized the institutions, the fabric of our society to make them political. It started with using the IRS to go after groups they didn't agree with. All of these pillars of what make America, America, one by one, they have weaponized and destroyed confidence in them. We used to believe in the CDC and the NIH. People used to believe in them, and they ruined that with COVID. So over and over and over again, the FBI, the IRS, the CDC, all of these government agencies have been weaponized by Democrats, and confidence has been destroyed. The only way we solve this is to go after the people who did it, put them in jail, and say this can never happen again.
Yeah, or otherwise we need to stop complaining about it. If we're going to complain and discuss the damage done and not punish the people involved just because we're worried about the New York Times writing a headline that there's some revenge action going on, then we're not serious. Finally, Congressman, I want to talk about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He will be meeting with President Trump at the White House today. It's going to be a busy day at the White House. And this comes off the heels of that UN General Assembly. It's always a sham here in New York last week, but it was very much punctuated by the fact that there were several countries recognizing a Palestinian state. I don't know what state they're talking about. They have no elected leader. They have no capital. They have no actual functioning government. And of course, they did not say, oh, we won't recognize the state until Hamas is taken care of and the hostages are released. They have no preconditions at all. To me, thank goodness President Trump is on the same page with everyone who is sane in the world, and that includes Benjamin Netanyahu, about talking about how dangerous this whole recognition trend is.
Well, what's interesting, though, is we've entered a new phase in this. You talk about sane versus insane. The problem we have in many of these countries that have recognized the Fakistan, as I like to call it, is that they now have admitted a substantial population of radical Muslims that are a meaningful part of their voting base. So in many of these countries, this is no longer ideological. This is political, where these left-wing parties that are in power have to cater to their mainstream Muslim base to stay in power. This is the warning to America. We have got to stop letting people into this country who hate us, who don't want to share our values, and want to destroy it. Look at Dearbornistan, if you want to see where America is going to go if we don't take this stuff seriously. And I think that's what we have to recognize is going on at the UN. It's not ideology, it's politics now.
Yeah, and it's not really even about Israel. It's just an excuse for violence and for a takeover and having more power in the countries that they go to. Congressman Randy Fine, got to get you on a day when we have more good news, but I appreciate all your commentary and have a good week, please.
Thanks. Happy to be here anytime.
All right. Coming up, how the heck did an illegal alien from Guyana with other criminal charges on his record get hired to a high-paying job as a school superintendent in Iowa? Emily Finn and I will kick that around. And later, I'm hankering for some good news, so at least I'm going to bring you something beautiful. And that's this. I will tell you the story behind this beautiful work of art. It's a 1953 original Corvette. I'll explain why it's in the news later this hour. American Sunrise Early Edition. We'll be right back.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm Drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
It's a live look at Destin, Florida. Not Desitin, for those of you who have newborns. Destin, Florida. It's a beautiful shot. That causeway there. Thank you so much for coming back. Welcome back to American Sunrise Early Edition. It's a Monday. Thank you especially to those of you on the Getter Chat, on the Rumble Chat. And again, you can watch and comment live on X, on Substack, a lot of places to do it. And I look at all those platforms. And I love your suggestions. Hey, just when you think you've heard it all when it comes to the illegal alien crisis in America, another story comes around to top it, and this is about one of the most outrageous ones I've ever heard. It turns out the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools in Iowa is none other than a man named Ian Andre Roberts. He's an illegal alien from Guyana with weapons charges against him, and when ICE picked him up last week, he had a loaded handgun on him illegally. Now, joining me is Real America's Voice contributor Emily Finn. And Emily, I want to float a theory by you here as to how this all happened. It isn't just about our open border situation. It's about DEI and DEI hiring. As I've said for many, many years, if we want to get more diversity in our professional jobs in this country and in universities, you can't start when the people start applying to the jobs or to the universities. You have to care about people from their original age. So if you want more African Americans at Harvard, start doing something in K through 12 to help them, preferably in K and in nursery school. And I don't mean Head Start.
Yes.
And if you want people who are going to be in the school system hired, you can't just hire them out of nowhere. Do something to train people. This is outrageous.
It's beyond outrageous. And you're right. This really does start when you're applying to colleges. And I remember the joke when I was going to school was you just lie on your application. Lie and say that you are a different race or that you identify as something that you're not just because you have a higher chance of getting in. And that is definitely not what they should be incentivizing with these DEI programs. Now, this is really concerning, though. This is a person who wasn't from this country, has been ordered to leave, has been ordered to deport, and had a loaded handgun with him on a school campus. Explain to me where any of this makes sense and how many people should be held accountable for letting this happen as well. How many people did he have to interview with? How many students saw maybe this isn't right? How many parents of the students that they came home from school and said, hey, mom and dad, I don't know who this person is. I don't know if he even speaks English. I mean, there had to have been so many questions beforehand. And this is an egregious failure of the public school system in Des Moines.
Now, you made the point. He had an order of deportation against him issued last year in the summer of 2024 under the Biden administration. So the Biden administration wanted this guy deported. Whether they knew that he was working as a superintendent at Des Moines schools at that point, I don't know, but they had his name and his ID and they wanted him out of here. And again, I have a newsflash to everyone who's going to get into an argument today with a family member or a friend who's a liberal, who's all about DEI and affirmative action. Headline: These schools and these people who hire these folks don't care about them. They are looking to check a box. They are legally forced or institutionally forced to hire a certain type of person. If they cared about helping underprivileged or disadvantaged folks in America, and there are a lot of them, no one is denying that, you don't do it starting with the college application process. You have to start earlier, and you need to make a real investment. You know what it costs Harvard and these other people to hire somebody like this? Nothing. It costs them nothing, and that's how much they care about it. And I mean, that's why we need to get to the bottom. If you really want to help improve certain groups in this country's fate and their educational opportunities, you got to start early, not when they're applying for jobs. Emily, this was a $300,000 a year job, and I think $300K a year goes pretty far in Des Moines. I'm going to guess that.
Absolutely. That's a really impressive job, living in that area of the country. The story is infuriating. We shouldn't let this happen. And we do need to be taking a much broader look at education in the United States. If we're letting things like this happen, it means that we're just turning a blind eye to the future generations of this country, to the education of our children. And so, like I said, we just need to be taking this a lot more seriously and make sure that, for the love of God, illegals that are supposed to be deported are not running our school districts. That doesn't make any sense, Jake.
Yeah. And finally, I'll just say, I don't understand why these colleges and these places that are hiring these kinds of people don't get the message. Their problem is not the decision to hire them. They decided that already. The problem is getting people to apply in the first place. The Ivy League schools and some of these job centers are dying for the applicants, and they can't find them, which is why they end up scraping bottoms of the barrels like illegal and hiring illegal aliens. Instead of trying to fix the problem at its source, which they don't do. Emily Finn, thank you so much for joining us. You'll be with us in the 8 to 10 a.m. hour. Thank you, and have a great entire week, even though I'll be seeing you the entire week.
Sounds great. See you tomorrow, Jake.
Okay, when inflation jumps, when you hear that the national debt is over $37 trillion with the T dollars, do you ever think maybe now would be a good time to buy some gold? Whether as a hedge against inflation, peace of mind during global instability, or just for sensible diversification, Birch Gold Group believes every American should own physical gold, and so they created something special. Until September 30th, you got one more day, folks. If you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, request an info kit now. Just text America to 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. And you are still eligible for a rebate in free metals of up to $10,000. Birch Gold is the only precious metals company I trust, as do their tens of thousands of customers. So make right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. That's tomorrow. Text America to 989898. Claim your eligibility and get your free info kit. Again, text America to 989898. Coming up, speaking of diversification, Americans are less diversified than ever, and that's not good. How much do you trust your broker or retirement fund manager? I'll explain further when American Sunrise Early Edition returns.
Great news, America. Real America's Voice is now on YouTube.
We are the media now.
That means you can watch live, join the chat, and connect with fellow patriots in real time.
Share.
Your voice matters, and this is your chance to be part of the conversation shaping our nation.
God bless all of you.
So don't wait. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and tune in to Real America's Voice on YouTube today. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love RAV? If you ever talk to the hosts, you can do that on RAV. And the RAV family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
It's a live look at New York City there. That's the Empire State Building there right in front of you. Getting close to the 100th anniversary. It was built in 1931. About 6 years away. That's going to be fun. Celebrating the 100th anniversary. And that building on the left, no, it's not curved and about to fall. It's just a little bit of the curve of the lens of the camera there. It's an interesting shot there. So don't worry, we're not about to have a major disaster in New York City. Let's take a look. Speaking of disasters, let's look at the stock market. No, just kidding. The stock market's been very strong this year, and it looks like we're going to have another strong open. It was down overall last week, but we had a strong Friday to end on a high note, and it looks like we're going to start on a high note here on this Monday. Everything up. Let's take, and crude oil is down. It was getting up over there, in that $65 a barrel range, but now it's back to 64. Let's take a look at Bitcoin now. Last time I checked, it was rallying this morning, and it is, but it's at 112,000 even, about $10,000 lower than its all-time high from several weeks ago. Direct and indirect stock holdings by the American people, either a regular stock that you own by yourself on its own, or in a mutual fund or a retirement plan, that stocks in general account for 45% of households' financial assets so far this year. That is a very, very high percentage. I was just talking about with Birch Gold diversification and things like that. It's scary to have so much money in just one asset, which is just the overall stock market. If the market ever has a major sell-off, this could really hurt people, especially if you're nearing retirement. This is my usual ad that I give. I don't get any money for it, and I don't know any folks in particular that I'm going to actually suggest for you. But you got to talk, especially if you're nearing retirement, you got to speak to a financial advisor and let them know you can't all be in one kind of asset because if you have bad timing and the market's down, when you're trying to retire, you may not be able to retire. So in other words, not everything into stocks, folks. I'm a big fan of the stock market, but you can't have 45% all in stocks. Okay, you got to split that up into other things. And that's actually just the average number. A lot of people probably have 70 or 80%, and that's really risky. Okay, here's a question. What happens when an industry suffers very slow or no growth, an entire industry? The answer is mergers and buyouts, because that's the only way to grow when your sales aren't growing. And the stagnant video game industry, the technology is amazing in some of these games, but their sales are stagnant right now, could soon see one of the biggest leverage buyouts in all of American history. Silver Lake Management, that's a private equity firm, and the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund are getting together to bid for Electronic Arts. That's the video game company that has a lot of those great sports games like college football and Madden, the Madden football game. Anyway, they are working together and to try to buy it, and it would value the company at $50 billion. That's a pretty amazing valuation. But there are some people very worried about this news, because if this buyout goes through, there's a lot of people who think that this is a sign that the current executives at EA, Electronic Arts, are really worried about the company ever really making a lot of money again and are looking to get out while the getting's good. And that could be bad news for that company. But boy, these video games are pretty amazing. I think one of the problems with these companies is they've made the games too good. Remember when we were kids and Atari, you played the game for 3 weeks, you saw all it had to offer, and then you had to buy a new one. Some of these games now that they have, you could play them for years and not explore all the amazing aspects of it. And I think that they were a little bit too short-sighted in that. You got to get people coming back to you a lot. That's the way it works. All right, now for a possible game changer, or really maybe a 4D chess game. Reports are circulating out of China that one of the reasons why President Xi Jinping has been a little bit more compliant with President Trump in trade talks lately is because he's looking for something else in return. The worry among foreign policy experts is that Xi Jinping is trying to get President Trump to look the other way and not push for Taiwanese independence, true Taiwanese independence. Of course, Taiwan is factually independent, but they are not recognized as an independent country. They don't have a seat at the United Nations and on and on. Xi wants that to stay that way. And apparently he's hoping that if he makes deals with the United States, opens up more of the Chinese markets to U.S. products, and doesn't fight so much about tariffs on his products, that will somehow allow this to happen. Something to watch for in the coming weeks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. It's Moving America, sponsored by Artillery Tea Company, artilleryteaco.com. Use promo code LIBERTY for 20% off your order. Artillery Tea is all natural, whole leaf. The tea bags are chemical free, and each tea bag can be used twice. Artillery Tea Company is family and veteran owned and operated, and a portion of your purchase goes to help veteran and first responder charities. Artilleryteaco.com, promo code LIBERTY for 20% off of your order. Well, here's one thing you don't want to bring home from work. Legionnaire's disease. No, I'm not kidding. That's the very severe form of pneumonia that spreads from bacteria in HVAC systems, HVAC systems. It was first discovered in the early 1980s, by the way. It can be deadly. It's no joke. And that's exactly what happened at GM's Tech Center building in Warren, Michigan. 2 people at that tech center came down with Legionnaire's disease. They had to scrub the entire HVAC system, scrub the whole building. They've been working on it. The good news is GM says it will reopen starting on Wednesday. But that is a very scary situation. Should not happen. So they're working on how it happened and certainly stopping it from happening again. Well, I've been telling you about this cyber attack against Jaguar Land Rover in Britain and how severe it's been. I've been talking about how they haven't built one new car off their assembly line now in more than a month. So you knew this was happening. The UK government is bailing out Jaguar and Land Rover. They're giving them a $2 billion loan. I don't know if that's going to be a loan that they actually have to pay back, but they're trying to help them just stay afloat while they fix this problem. Now, the reason why I keep reporting on this is not to dunk on Jaguar Land Rover all that much. That's not necessary. But to remind everybody that we better have all of our ducks in a row at our auto companies. If they have a successful attack like this at GM or against Ford or Chrysler or Jeep, that's going to be a very, very big blow, not just to those companies, but to this country. So I'm hoping that our cybersecurity experts are studying exactly what happened to Jaguar Land Rover, finding out exactly where they made a mistake with their defenses and not copying it, because that $2 billion loan that they're getting from the UK government's probably going to get bigger, and I don't know if they're ever going to get that money back. All right, I'm asking you now, have you ever heard of the broken windows theory of law enforcement? It goes like this. It tells the local police forces in cities where there's vandalism, literally broken windows or graffiti or things like that, to arrest the people responsible, even though it's technically only a misdemeanor. And why? Because those people tend to be either already committing more serious crimes or are on the way to doing so, and this is your last chance to scare them straight. This is a big part of the theory that helped New York City get back on its feet with William Bratton, the police commissioner, and Rudy Giuliani. They started to implement this policy in the mid-90s, and it turned things around quickly. Well, the city of Memphis is thinking of doing this, but with speeding. Now, let me ask you, someone at 2 or 3 a.m. who's going 70 miles in a 35 zone, you think there's a chance that they're also a criminal doing other things much worse? Well, the Memphis police think so, too. And they are going to be stepping up their night patrols in Memphis for speeders. Obviously, there's a lot more that needs to be done. The National Guard is going there as well. But this is not a bad idea. Anybody up, let alone speeding, at 2 or 3 a.m. on a kind of regular basis, I'm thinking there's a good chance that person's a criminal, either coming from a criminal act or on their way, and maybe has a pretty big record. So the Memphis Street Patrol is going to be stepped up. All right, now for that thing of beauty that I promised you. What you're going to be looking at now is one of the original 300 Corvettes made by Chevrolet in 1953. It's in the news because it recently came to be owned by a guy named James Sheehan. He's a home builder in Arizona. He's become a celebrity of types in the car collecting world, especially the Corvette world. He has a pretty big Corvette collection, but this is now the jewel in his collection. And the reason why he's in the news as well as all of that is because the Wall Street Journal gave him a nice piece of real estate in the Weekend Journal, writing about how he got this Corvette, how he got into the business of, well, it's not really business, it's a hobby, of collecting Corvettes, and how he's created a Corvette club that is now expanding all over the country. and check that out. It is a really nice piece of work. I wonder how much it costs to fill up the tank there. I don't think they have a very big tank, so I guess he has to fill up a lot, but that is a very pretty car. Okay, coming up. The story has been out of the national news headlines for the last couple of weeks, but please don't forget it. The murder of Ukrainian refugee Iryna it's still big news in North Carolina. And we're about to talk to a North Carolina leader trying to do something about it, making sure it never happens again. American Sunrise Early Edition. We'll be right back.
Great News America, Real America's Voice is now on YouTube.
We are the media now.
That means you can watch live, join the chat, and connect with fellow patriots in real time.
Share.
Your voice matters, and this is your chance to be part of the conversation shaping our nation.
God bless all of you.
So don't wait. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and tune in to Real America's Voice on YouTube today. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? If you ever talk to the hosts, you can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
It's Monday, September 29th. Here are this morning's top stories. America has become a nation divided between those who commit or enable violence and those who want to do something to stop it. The latest flashpoint is Portland, Oregon, but there aren't really any sidelines anymore. Speaking of violence in America, the man who attacked a Mormon church in suburban Flint, Michigan yesterday with shots fired and explosives has been identified as a 40-year-old veteran of the Iraq War. Police and the FBI are searching for a motive. He turned the gun on himself, we think, or he died somehow. We're still looking for all the details. The shooter was killed, and so was one innocent victim. In New York, incumbent Eric Adams drops out of the mayor's race. But is this a case of too little too late to stop Zohran Mamdani from winning? And President Trump will meet with congressional leaders today to discuss what it will take to pass just a regular spending bill and avoid a government shutdown, the same kind of spending bill the Democrats were in favor of just a couple of months ago. One thing is for sure, the stigma of a government shutdown is no longer such a big problem for anyone in the polls. American Sunrise Early Edition continues now. Welcome back to American Sunrise Early Edition. Special welcome to those of you very active on the Getter chat. And you can also watch live, not only on Getter, but on Rumble. You can watch on an Amazon Fire Stick. You can watch on X, either live or later in the day if you save the link. You can watch on Substack and comment. Comment on all of these places. I'm watching what you're saying, and I'm reading it. And sometimes, actually a lot, I learn from it. Joining us now is attorney and candidate for the U.S. Senate from North Carolina, Republican Don Brown. Don, before I get into the issues that are specifically affecting your state alone, I have to ask you about things like Portland, where there's been anti-ICE riots and attacks on federal agents. President Trump was trying to send troops there. I think it's going to happen, but the governor of Oregon, mayor of Portland are pushing back on him. And you even have, and actually this isn't that different from what's going on in North Carolina. You have local politicians there who are pushing back on the rule of law and any kind of real help coming from the Trump administration to get things done. I just feel like we're in a civil war here in America. This reminds me of Confederate leaders who were people who eventually became Confederate leaders blocking federal troops from trying to keep order in this country. I wish I mean, I'm not trying to be hysterical here, but I don't know what else to call it. It's becoming kinetic. People are dying, literally. I wonder if you're as alarmed as I am.
Very much alarmed. You've nailed it on the head. There is a literal civil war on the streets. The president of the United States, first off, you go back to the preamble of the Constitution. One of the goals in our preamble, and go look at the preamble when you want to revisit the goals of government, is to ensure domestic tranquility. The president of the United States has the authority to send in the National Guard to these cities where domestic tranquility and rampant crime have taken over, with or without the request from the local authorities. There's plenty of historical precedent. You look into the Insurrection Act, and when Americans' constitutional rights and liberties are being threatened, the president can go ahead and send in troops. It's been done historically. President Eisenhower did it to integrate the University of Arkansas when he sent in the 101st Airborne, actually. And President Kennedy, in integrating the University of Michigan, sent troops in. Excuse me, I meant to say University of Mississippi, not Michigan, sent troops in when James Meredith was being pushed away. And so the president has the authority to do it. And these local leaders who are soft on crime and pro-crime and just want to kiss up to Antifa and all these communist left-wing groups that are intent on unraveling civil society, they're not relevant. So I'm going to encourage the president to do what he needs to do. And we saw what's happened in Washington, D.C. already with the crime rate dramatically dropping. That's what it's going to take to try to get some of these out-of-control blue cities back into a situation where folks can walk the streets without having to worry about being mugged or murdered.
And also federal agents being able to carry out their legal duties to find violent illegal aliens and things like that, and to deport them without worrying about some militia attacking them in the streets. Now, Don Brown, let's talk about something called Iryna's Law. It's meant to put an end to some of the worst practices that led to her murder on that commuter train in Charlotte by a man who had been arrested 14 times and was still out on the streets, all caught on tape. I haven't just convicted the man. There it is. You can see it right there. This is not a question of this is not a murder mystery, sadly. We know exactly what happened here. Now, we had that law passed in the North Carolina legislature, but I got to tell you, your governor, Josh Stein, who made some comments after the passage, he was very, very murky on it. I don't think he's going to sign it. How about you?
Well, it doesn't appear to be the case. He has 10 days. I do commend the Republican North Carolina General Assembly for signing the law. The idea, Jake, is to try to stop this revolving door practice, this pre-trial revolving door practice, where you have an animal like the animal that killed this poor young Ukrainian immigrant who had 14 prior simply coming in and was released on a no cash bond type of situation. The law is designed to cut that down and eliminate it for multiple offenders. It's just plain common sense. North Carolina General Assembly. Stein is sitting around. He's made comments. He is a soft on crime governor like the previous governor, Roy Cooper. I'm going to beat in the Democrat in the Republican United States Senate race. He's going to be the Democrat nominee. They've been soft on crime, and Cooper will probably either sit on it or veto it. I do think there probably are enough votes in the General Assembly to override him. The North Carolina House is one vote short of being veto-proof anyway, and the General Assembly has overridden 8 out of 12 gubernatorial vetoes last month, and I think that will probably happen. But the fact that he's even hesitating is a stark commentary on the reason this young lady got killed anyway. It goes back to Democrat soft on crime policies.
Yeah, and it also goes back to how the DNC has staffed up every Democrat elected official from mayor on up in this country. And so their staffs work for the DNC. They don't work for their titular boss. Josh Stein, if he has anyone who's actually working for him, would tell him, what's the question? Of course you're going to sign this. But they're getting calls from D.C., they're getting calls from Soros, and that's who runs these offices. This is happening here in New York, too. Kathy Hochul's approval rating would be 30 points higher if she actually had someone working for her and for New York, but that's not the case. Don, this weekend, speaking of North Carolina, marked the one-year anniversary of the Helene. The Helene storm caused massive flooding in western North Carolina. Can you tell us how that recovery process is going? I know there's still a long way to go there, isn't there?
There is. I was in western North Carolina over the weekend, both in McDowell County and then came down to Catawba County and remember to mark the one-year anniversary. There's still a long way to go. This is another indictment on Democrat administration's failure to act. I mean, the federal government under Joe Biden did not send the military in. That storm came in on the 27th of September. We didn't see any U.S. military presence until October 3rd. Absolutely ridiculous. It has been Christian groups and charitable groups and civilians on the ground working with first responders that have provided most of the help. And a lot of progress has been made. We got a long ways to go. The Democrat governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, withheld money from eastern North Carolina, Hurricane Matthew years ago. So the eastern and western parts of the states get the short end of the stick. The federal government, the Democrat governor, was off in New York, apparently on a fundraiser when this thing came down the pike. And there's a lot of hostility among the locals toward the Democrat reaction. But keep western North Carolina in prayer. It's been a year, but there's people still suffering, people still homeless, people who still haven't rebuilt, and we got a lot of work left to do.
Yeah. Not to make it all discouraging, as you mentioned, there's been people who've been helping out, people, the faith-based groups that have done it. For those of you who haven't seen the story about how Amish people have come and built tiny houses for tons of the folks who were dehoused by the storm and the flooding, please read up on that just to get some encouragement in addition to the fight that has to go on here. All right. Now, I wanted to carve out some time here to talk about specifically your Senate race. You're going up against Michael Whatley for the Republican nomination for the Senate. And it looks like Roy Cooper, the former Democrat governor, is definitely going to be the Democrat nominee. And this is all to replace Tom Tillis, who probably is he's in the top three of the least popular Republican senators among Republicans because he's governed so much like a Democrat. Honestly, that's why he's not running again. Why the voters are going to go for an actual Democrat, I don't know. How's the race going, and what do you think will be the big issues that could turn this election in North Carolina next year?
Well, the race is going to be going better if Whatley would had the courage to debate me. He's already turned down one debate request set from the Onslow County Republican Party. In the primary, the issue is going to be election integrity. Whatley claims to be the king of election integrity, yet he got elected by a cell phone vote or reelected as state chair, and that's caused a lot of division in the party. Medical freedom is going to be an issue. I have been a champion of medical freedom. I've fought against Fauci's jab, took it to the federal court, even to the Fourth Circuit. Whatley pushed a jab when he was chair of the North Carolina Republican Party. And then Whatley endorsed Tillis in March after Tillis tried to tube the nomination of my friend Pete Hegseth and tubed the U.S. Attorney nomination in D.C. And so, therefore, these are going to be some of the issues we're going to be discussing as we move forward into the primary. We're going to win the primary, and then I'm going to chase Roy Cooper all over the state and prosecute him. I'm the only former prosecutor on the Republican side has actually ever sent anybody to prison. I'm going to remind Roy Cooper of his record, how he shut the state down, destroyed North Carolina's economy during COVID, imposed unconstitutional penalties. The last time I saw my dad alive, Jake, was looking through the glass of a nursing home from the outside of a cold court there in Plymouth, North Carolina. We're standing on the grass with my sister. He separated dying Americans, dying North Carolinians from their family members during COVID. We're going to remind him of that. Finally, we're going to remind him of how he commuted the sentence of 15 murderers on New Year's Eve before he stepped out of office. We're going to chase him all over the state. We're going to take him down. I'm going to prosecute the case against Roy Cooper, and we're going to beat him, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to following that election because it's going to be an interesting battle, one of the more interesting Senate races coming up next year. Don Brown, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week.
Jake, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Sure. Coming up, David Brody and I will discuss whether New York City now has a chance to dodge a terrible outcome now that Eric Adams has dropped out of the race for mayor. I don't know. American Sunrise Early Edition. We'll be right back.
J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
It's a live look at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. A lot going on in Washington today. Getting up against that government shutdown deadline. President Trump will be meeting with congressional leaders to talk about that. Also, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be visiting at the White House, and usually he makes a call to Congress as well, so I assume he'll be there as well. Busy day in Washington, D.C. Welcome back to American Sunrise Early Edition. I'm Jake Novak. It's a Monday. I hope that you were, at least had some of your eyes open over the weekend, because it was a very busy news weekend, and that included yesterday's news that current New York City Mayor Eric Adams is dropping out of the race for re-election, leaving it now basically a three-man race, but most people in the polls would say it's now a two-man race between Zoran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. David Brody joins us now. David, I really think this is a case of too little, too late, but even if this had been done earlier, the problem is we have a great city like New York. You can make all the jokes you want. Millions and millions of people. There are some really, really great people here, and we just keep getting represented. Our choices seem to continue to be just incredibly below the quality of your average cool New Yorker. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, Mamdani makes Ed Koch look like MAGA at this point. I mean, that's how bad this has gotten in New York. And you're from New York. I'm from New York. I'm from Jersey. You're from Jersey. That sounds. Wasn't that Joe Piscopo? Didn't he say that?
That was Joe Piscopo.
Saturday Night Live. Yeah. So obviously there are major problems. Look, I've done the math. You've done the math. You look at the polls. I mean, could it technically happen if Sliwa and now Adams is out and Sliwa gets out? And okay, I've done the math. Yeah, maybe Cuomo beats him by a percentage point or two, but come on, that's pie in the sky. And I don't really think it's going to go down analytically and statistically that way at all. I think you'll still get some crossover, maybe a percentage or two from Eric Adams. And even if not, people will stay home. The point is that I still don't see, even if everybody got out, including your mother and my mother, there's just no way at this point that Mamdani loses. You know, what's interesting here is that he has tried to dial back some of his rhetoric, some of his positions. Oh, this just in, he's still anti-Israel. He's still anti-Semitic. But beyond all of that, we still know about the city-owned grocery stores that he's not backed down from. He still wants $30 an hour minimum wage. I mean, you just go down the list, universal pre-K, or excuse me, not pre-K, all of childcare, universal childcare, and others. So, he's tried to at least dial some of that back, but that just shows you how radical he is, that in liberal New York, he's actually had to dial some of this back. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know, Jake.
Yeah, well, he didn't dial this back. Over the weekend, he said that he's willing to spend $100 million of additional taxpayer money to provide illegal aliens with lawyers and other legal support to fight deportation, taking the citizens' taxpayers' money. And there's a lot of poor people in New York who pay taxes, okay? And take their money to help the people who are here illegally continue to take the resources away from us. This is like, this is highway robbery. And it's amazing to me that that he felt comfortable enough to push that. That tells me he knows he's winning. He wouldn't say that if he didn't think he had this thing in the bag.
It makes me think of Chicago with a lot of the protests at city council meetings, where it was Lori Lightfoot and then the current mayor as well. Basically, you got a lot of these protesters. I say protesters. They literally showed up at city council meetings saying, wait a minute, hold on. Many within the African-American community saying, hold on for a second. Wait, illegal immigrants are getting benefits that should go to us? So anyhow, I believe that type of thing will probably end up happening to Mamdani. And look, as you know, with Eric Adams, I mean, that was one of the big things. It wasn't just crime. It was that illegal immigration push in the Biden administration that really got Adams to turn. So I think that could be the inflection point that really kind of does in Mamdani. Three inflection points. I'll be quick. Israel, immigration, and safety. You put them all together, I think it's a cauldron, and I think it's brewing in the city.
It doesn't look good, simple as that. But what does look good is the next 2 hours, because you have American Sunrise with David T. Bates and Dr. Gina. I'll be joining you in the 9 a.m. hour. And American Sunrise Early Edition will be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. I will be taking attendance. See you then.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday. There's going to be a big conversation today, a roundtable, if you will, about President Trump's push again as it relates to Tylenol and autism and just autism in general. And it really is a big talker. I think President Trump and RFK Jr. really kind of brought this issue to light, and now it's continuing to pick up some steam, and the conversations are being had, and hopefully we'll get some actual answers. Dr. Gina, I would imagine you're pretty excited about this, and again, kind of the push from the Health and Human Services Department in pushing autism and pushing at least more knowledge and more investigation into these sorts of sicknesses.
New details coming out regarding the shooting at the Dallas ICE facility. Officials have identified the shooter as 29-year-old Joshua John. Congressman, what do you make of this?
Well, another attack by the far left on conservatives and the type of things that conservatives stand for and are working for. I mean, we saw 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. We saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. This type of activity has to stop. I hope they put the full force of the court against these individuals that may have been involved in this. Obviously, the shooter killed himself, but there may have been other people involved. The last time this ICE facility was attacked, there was a group of Antifa individuals. Maybe they were involved in the planning of this as well. Hopefully, they'll get to the bottom of it.
President Trump signed an executive order officially labeling Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. You know, Gabriel, the executive order by the president sounds great. You wonder how, though, you go about dismantling Antifa. Joe Biden said it was an ideology rather than a group or an organization.
And you know, there is truth to the fact that Antifa is an idea, but what makes Antifa different is that it's a very consolidated set of ideas that have been adopted by several different groups. But the best way to understand Antifa is not as an organization, but as a movement. Within this movement, you have several different radical left-wing organizations. Some of them call themselves Antifa, but a lot of them don't. Yet they're all united in this idea that it is not only okay, but it is basically mandated to use political violence as a means to affect their political goals.
Terrence, I don't know. A lot of people were saying that this was kind of an apology, but it didn't feel like he was sorry enough, I suppose. That was my take when I watched the clip.
It wasn't an apology. This was all damage control. He tried to act like he was being contrite and conciliatory. I think it was all fake, and it was all just to kind of appease people who were upset with inappropriate comments, and it just didn't go far enough for me. It was a nothing burger for me. That's just my thoughts.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? You guys have a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Ahead on American Sunrise, here we go again. Congress gets ready to shut down D.C., but will a last-minute meeting between President Trump and Democrat leaders at the White House stave off of government shutdown? We are live at the White House with the latest. Plus, tragedy and murder in Michigan. At least 4 people dead, several others injured following a shooting and fire inside a Mormon church. In moments, how that faith community and the FBI are responding. And attention, Portland. President Trump sending troops to the liberal enclave to handle domestic terrorists. But is it legal? We have those stories, much more as American Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina. All right, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C., and Terrence Bates is in our Denver newsroom. David, quick prayer, because we forgot before we were coming into the show. I just thought you could do that, and our audience could join us today.
I would love that. Lord, we just thank you so much for this day and for this audience. And Lord, we just come to you and just know that you're on the throne. When the craziness is all around us, we know that the one steady and constant is you. And we just thank you for what your truth holds. And I pray that people hold on to that truth as we go through these days. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thanks,
and Dr. Gina and David, prayers also, of course, going up to the victims and the families of that church shooting in Michigan on Sunday. At least 4 people dead this morning. 8 injured. The shooter was also killed in a shootout with police. Investigators saying that he drove a truck into that church during service, opened fire, and then set the building ablaze. You can see some of the fire here and the smoke coming up. The alleged shooter said to be a 40-year-old former Marine. Just a sad state of affairs that this sort of thing continues to happen. Attacks on sanctuaries in this country, just unheard of. Something that's a shame, David.
Yeah, and we're hearing that we don't know the full motive here, but we're once again hearing that it could be probably targeted political violence. This is what some of the preliminary reports indicate. That should come as no shock to any of us, Dr. G. But this is the type of stuff. I mean, it used to be, every few months we'd hear about a shooting. Then it was every few weeks recently, and now it's every few days. I mean, it just continues to get worse and worse, Dr. G. And thank you for wanting us to pray this morning, because that's what we need right now.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need to continue in prayer for all of those victims and congregants at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan, and for all recent victims of religious and political violence happening here in America and around the world. Today's Bible verse is from Psalm 37, verses 4 and 7. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and he delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces were not ashamed. This poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all of his troubles. And the angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them. All right, well, a busy day at the White House. President Trump is hosting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Plus, we are hearing a potential government shutdown. Trump is set to meet with congressional leadership today on that issue. He also has threatened mass firings if there's a government shutdown. Here's what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had to say.
Kristen, it's up to them. If they come into the meeting to seriously negotiate, and the reason we've been pushing for months, we've been resolute, that we need a meeting, that we need a real negotiation, that you don't do this by one party putting together a completely partisan bill and saying take it or leave it. So they felt the heat. The president at first said no. Remember, he first said yes for a meeting, then he said no for a meeting. He went on a rant against Democrats. But I think they felt the heat, and they now want to sit down. But the fundamental question hasn't been answered yet, and we'll see on Monday. Are they serious about negotiating with us in a real way?
For more, let's bring in RAV Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn. Brian, during the week when I try to get the Dem take on things, it's a little more difficult. I have to sift through some actual news stories to get to the stories that I want to hear, et cetera, et cetera. Sundays, I can watch any of the news shows and I can get exactly where the Democrats are going with the absolute top issues that we're going to cover on Monday morning. And yesterday, all I heard was we want to spend more and Republicans want to stop us. That's what this really comes down to.
It does. Good morning, Dr. Gina. This is the same CR that they voted for historically. There's really been no changes to it. So why won't they vote for it all of a sudden, although they want to extend the ACA benefits, which basically we can translate that into health care for illegals. They want that in there as well. But the phone calls, the conference, Republican conference, will have a phone call today at 11:15 and a little bit later at 3 o'clock. That's when President Trump is going to meet with Democrat leaders, and we'll see if we can hammer this out. I mean, if you think back the last time this happened, in 2017, it was about the border funding on the wall. That was the big issue then. And of course, we know that standoff, that 34-day shutdown. Now, it's kind of interesting, though, when you look in the public court of opinion of what this means to the average Americans at home, I don't think they really care. I think the only people that really care about that are the people that are in these agencies. Now, Russ Vought put out just a few days ago that if they were not able to come to an agreement, these agencies should plan for, quote, massive layoffs and reductions in their staff. So President Trump and his administration is threatening these mass firings if they do not come up with an agreement on this CR. And, of course, we're less than 48 hours away from that happening.
Yeah, such a big day at the White House. That's a huge story, obviously. And then, of course, Netanyahu's at the White House today as well. We'll get to that. But how about Portland? Get ready. Here's President Trump over the weekend on Truth Social basically saying that, and I'll read it here, at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. And of course, the line we're accustomed to, thank you for your attention to this matter. Oregon, by the way, Brian, suing to block the move by the president. They're saying you can't use the National Guard soldiers to enforce domestic law enforcement. That's the Posse Comitatus Act that they're talking about. Plus, they say there is no real crisis. But my understanding is that about 200 National Guard troops will be moving in, Brian. What are you hearing? I'm looking at the videos. I see it. They are surrounding the building. This is serious stuff.
Yeah. Look at the images on your screen. I mean, you tell me, the governor of Oregon, if you don't think you need military backup to, protect the citizens of your state and also protect these agents as well. It is chaos. It is ground zero for Antifa. If you've ever been to Portland, and I know Ben Burkham could tell you a lot about this subject, it's all over the place. And we have now with social media, you can see all the chaos that happens on the street. Look, this is what the people of Oregon want, and this is overwhelmingly they were saying they want law and order, they want safety. And of course, these ICE agents, we saw what happened in Dallas last week. They are under attack, and I think this just solidifies their presence there, gives them a little bit more comfort to do their job without having to be attacked by some punk with a black mask and a black hoodie with a black umbrella. These people need to be rounded up, and this is one of the things that I know Dr. Gina, we have talked about, and David and Terrence, we've talked about in the Oval Office about Antifa and their presence, their organization in some of these cities. They are highly organized, and this is something that we need to do to combat their effectiveness on fighting law enforcement. We just have to do it.
Brian, there's so many domestic issues that President Trump is dealing with today. It almost feels like Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit today is to some degree an afterthought because there is so much going on, so much that President Trump is juggling. He's out with this Truth Social post on FBI and J6 members being, or the FBI being part of J6. Here's the post. It says, as it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protests, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. I want to know who each and every one of these so-called agents are and what they were up to on that now historic day. Many great American patriots were made to pay a very big price only for the love of their country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's two in a row. Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake. Again, another critical issue that President Trump is addressing face on, or head on, excuse me.
What's interesting, Terrence, because I was there on that day on the steps reporting live coverage. Matter of fact, my coverage was actually used most, not only in the prosecution of those that are absolutely guilty of doing, committing crimes against police officers, but also the footage was used to clear a lot of people that had no involvement in any kind of violent physical altercation. Now, I said this on the steps on that day, that those people that I saw were Antifa or agitators that perhaps could be some type of, government employee of some sort of capacity. I knew that on January 6th. And I like the fact that we're hearing that being echoed now from the White House. But any of us that's watching us right now, and many in the studio, I'm sure everyone in the studio could agree that we knew that this was a sort of an inside job. We knew that Nancy Pelosi denied the 10,000 National Guard troops on the Capitol that President Trump requested. We knew all of that. And, of course, many of our officials peddled that lie for the longest time. The J6 Commission, we all know what came out of that and all the evidence that was destroyed. A lot of people say move on. And I'm actually, to a certain degree, one of the individuals that would say, move on, we've got plenty of problems here to solve domestically. But this is a major cover-up. This is a major deal that not only put people in jail, but tore this country apart with this January 6th narrative. So I'm glad that President Trump obviously is shining some light on it, and we'll see if we can get to either further truth on the real story behind January 6th.
Yeah, we can't.
And Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be at the White House. Sorry, Dr. Gina.
We definitely can't move on, Brian. There's so many precious lives that were lost. We just lost another J6er about 4 weeks ago to suicide. That day we lost Ashley Babbitt, Kevin Greason, Roseanne Boylan, Ben Phillips, and then I don't want to forget about Matthew Perna. And so many others. We can't move on. They deserve justice. They absolutely deserve justice. And when our government does something as horrendous as what they did to us that day, I was there too, Brian. I saw the same thing you saw. I knew the same thing you knew, and I reported the same thing you reported. These are the days that we have to make this up to them. And not even to mention the people that sat for years in a jail cell, sometimes much worse, tortured and everything else at the hands of our government. No, we can't move on. And I will gladly have that conversation with anybody. Brian, Glenn, you're the best. Thank you for being on today.
You are.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom with T. Bates. Also later, War Secretary Pete Hegseth having a meeting with top military brass tomorrow. The question is why? What will they be discussing? These details just ahead on American Sunrise.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered. This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
That's the U.S. Capitol. Congress could be shutting this whole thing down, as in the showdown over a shutdown. This week, we are going to know in the next 48 hours what's going on. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Coming up, a big meeting coming up this week, and Pete Hegseth has called all of the military's top brass to meet. President Trump will actually be there as well. What is going on? We will discuss it in a moment. First, though, T. Bates standing by with the latest headlines from the Real America's Voice newsroom, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
President Trump is set to meet with top congressional leaders today as the deadline to avoid a government shutdown is now just hours or days away, if you will. Today's meeting comes after the commander-in-chief canceled a planned meeting with Democrat leaders from the House and Senate last week, saying that he didn't believe talks would be constructive. Congressional Republicans are calling on their Democrat colleagues to agree to a continuing resolution that would keep the government funded through November 21st. While the measure passed in the House, Senate Democrats rejected the resolution and are now demanding that recent cuts to health care programs be rescinded as part of any effort to keep the government funded. Many believe that Democrats will force a shutdown tomorrow if they don't get their way. President Trump says Sunday's attack on a Mormon church appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in this country. At least 4 people are dead, 8 others hurt after a former Marine drove his truck into a Mormon church in Michigan and then opened fire during Sunday services. Investigators say the 40-year-old gunman then set the church on fire, as you can see here. He was eventually shot and killed by police. Investigators believe that even more victims may be found in the rubble of the burned sanctuary. At this point, there's no word on what motivated the attack, but it comes just hours after the president of the Mormon faith passed away on Saturday at 101 years old. President Trump is encouraging each of us to pray for the victims and their families. He goes on to say, quote, "This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately." New York City may be one step closer to electing communist Zoran Mamdani as its next mayor now that incumbent Mayor Eric Adams is out of the race. The embattled Adams was running as an independent after it became clear that he couldn't win a second term as a Democrat.
Some remain unsure of me after the unfortunate events surrounding my federal case. I was wrongfully charged because I fought for this city. And if I had to do it again, I would fight for New York again. And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the Campaign Finance Board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign.
Mamdani and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo remain in the race. Mamdani is considered the frontrunner after beating Cuomo in the Big Apple's Democratic primary. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'll have more headlines coming your way in just a little bit, but now let's get a quick check of your coast-to-coast headlines and forecast with Adrian Hernandez from our friends over at Weather Nation. Adrian, I'm just looking here. The 9th named storm of 2025 has formed. It's Imelda, and I'm sure you're keeping an eye on that.
Absolutely, Terrence. It's actually just right offshore down to the east coast of Florida, where we're at actually. Not looking at any landfalls in the state of Florida, but likely to see some coastal impacts as a result of Imelda moving off towards the east. Elsewhere, got loads of heat out in the central, a high of 88 degrees out in the Windy City and 89 in St. Louis, which is identical to what you're seeing down south. It's going to be hot out there. And out in the Pacific Northwest, 2 cold fronts are going to be passing through, giving us better chances of rain over the next several days. So looking at the potential for rainfall well into Monday and Tuesday, we see as Imelda continues to move off towards the east, better rainfall chances for areas of the southeast here, especially along the southeast coast from the state of Florida all the way up to Georgia and the Carolinas as Imelda makes its way out. Right now, winds of 50 miles per hour, a tropical storm moving north at 9 miles per hour. But we're having rip current effects and rip current watches all the way throughout. And over at the Pacific Northwest, we're having 2 cold fronts that'll pass through in areas like Seattle and Portland, any coastal cities across the Pacific Northwest. Going to get inundated with lots of rain well into the week here, Monday into Tuesday, Wednesday, even Thursday, still dealing with a good amount of rainfall coverage that'll likely do a decent dent in those drought conditions. That's a better look at your coast-to-coast weather. Back to you, Terrence.
Thank you, sir. We'll be checking in with you a little bit later. But up next, the Trump administration reportedly preparing options for strikes against drug targets inside of Venezuela. A military assessment is coming your way shortly. First, though, a quick look at this day in history. It was on this date 10 years ago, back in 2015, that NASA scientists announced the discovery of flowing water on Mars. NASA was studying mysterious dark streaks that appear on Martian slopes during warmer seasons and concluded that they were caused by briny or very salty water. The presence of this salty liquid was a significant development in the quest to find life beyond Earth. It cemented the possibility of habitable conditions on the red planet, with researchers continuing to investigate its potential for supporting microbial life. More American Sunrise coming your way right after this break.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rev has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
New York City, my hometown. Don't mess with me. I'm from New York. Yeah, I'm from the Upper West Side, the latte-sipping mean streets up there. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. Look, we're continuing to monitor the situation in Portland, but another story we're following is Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He's gathering top generals for a meeting tomorrow. President Trump is also going to be in attendance. The gathering will take place at the Marine base at Quantico, Virginia. For more, let's bring in retired Navy SEAL officer Mike Sorelli. So, Mike, this is definitely unusual to gather all of America's top military brass from all over the world to meet like this. So we understand that the meeting is going to focus on standards for Hegseth's warrior ethos vision, and he's also basically going to have, in essence, kind of a pep rally focusing on conduct and expectations for military leadership. But, Mike, the president's going too. You wonder if you think there's more here than what's being reported. What do you think? Good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good cover. This meeting is unprecedented, especially in a digital age. To bring all 800 generals in when it costs a lot of money, it has serious security concerns. So this is most likely a serious meeting with serious implications. I have speculations about what it is, but I will say this, post-meeting, I think we, the general public, will probably be underwhelmed with the amount of information coming out of it. Something should be kept secret, especially with our military, and I think the administration will keep this tight-lipped as well.
I'm sorry, real quick. I got to follow up.
Yeah.
Speculations, please indulge us.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not getting together to talk about the warrior ethos. I want to step back. Look at what Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has done. One, we had the department name change from the Department of Defense to the Department of War, which sent messages both internally and externally to our enemies. It was a culture mindset. Additionally, he has promised a comprehensive review of the Goldwater-Nichols Act of 1986, which was designed to create an integrated force synchronized with operations across geographic regions, the services, and domains. That worked for 1986, but it's a very different environment with cartels, homegrown terrorism, and I think you're going to see a reprioritization towards the Western Hemisphere. But this as well. You know, Pete Hegseth wanted to see a 20% reduction in 4-star generals and a 10% reduction of other generals across the services. So you may see a complete and utter, let's say, resourcing or overhaul of the Goldwater-Nichols Act of 1986, which requires, approval by Congress. But we may see the consolidation of commands like Northern Command and Southern Command into one unified command, which allows you to only have one staff and reduce headcount. Additionally, we've been stuck in this post 9/11 sort of stance. So we may see a reprioritization by the president and this administration to focus more on the Western Hemisphere, cartels, and even homegrown terrorism like Antifa, which soon may be designated a terrorist organization.
Wow. All right, Mike, we're seeing reports the Trump administration is preparing options for military strikes inside Venezuela against drug targets. NBC News is reporting that these strikes could begin in a matter of weeks. We have already seen strikes against boats reportedly carrying drug traffickers. What are your predictions here?
First, I would say good. So, I think there's two goals here. One is to interdict or disrupt the drug trade within Venezuela, which is essentially backed by a state leader. But two, also a regime change. We have a Nicolas Maduro is a despotic leader. We want a more democratic, U.S.-friendly nation in South America. But keep in mind that most drugs are not produced within Venezuela. It is a transportation or logistical hub, but I would not be surprised if the military, which it is their job to provide target packages to the administration, is looking at other regions of South America to finally take the war to the cartels, which arguably we've been at war with cartels since the 80s.
So I'm curious, though, if in fact this does happen, is this obvious? Is this not technically also an act of war on the country of Venezuela, even though that may not necessarily be the specific target?
It depends on who's perceiving it. Some would take this as an act of war against Venezuela. I think Venezuela, who has been negotiating or allied with a lot of our enemies, from China to Russia to Iran over the past decade, they've been at war with us. But if we can use the cartels, take out the cartels, while also affecting regime change, I think it's a victory for South America and the United States, but it's South America first. He is not a friendly leader. He is not great for the region. And I think it would go a long way if we see a regime change for peace and democracy within South America.
Okay. All right. So I do want to get to some domestic issues then. President Trump posting on Truth Social about Portland, saying, at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I'm directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I am also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oregon, as one would expect, is suing to block this move. What do you think ultimately is going to come out of this? And the authorization of full force, that's what really caught my attention. That seems to be a very hard line that President Trump is saying, look, we're not going to put up with this foolishness anymore.
So first off, there's nothing known as full force. What I believe the president meant was lethal force. So this is interesting. It actually ties back to this meeting in Quantico, because if we are reprioritizing, we're looking more at the Western Hemisphere and domestic terrorism like Antifa. You're now talking about the deploying U.S. military forces on the homeland, which can raise issues from a posse comitatus perspective. So there are legalities that the Trump administration is going to be up against. However, the one playing card for the Trump administration is the Insurrection Act, in which he can deploy forces. That some may consider as a nuclear option politically. But guys, look at it from this perspective. We are becoming a lawless nation. People in Portland, people in Chicago, Memphis do not feel safe. There is the constitutional and legal thing, and then there is the right thing. It's like God's law versus man's law. And right now, we've got to use every tool and asset at our disposal to bring safety to the streets. And if the president makes an aggressive decision to use military forces on the homeland, personally, I know where I stand on that one, but it will play right into the narrative of the left, which will use this as fire. And the president is pretty much tone deaf to that argument. So he's going to make the right decision for what's right for the American people to bring safety to those areas.
Mike Sarraille, great to have you. Great insight. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Mike.
All right, coming up, he's a conservative Christian hero. First, liberals call him dangerous and controversial. The head of the Oklahoma school system, Ryan Walters, has resigned. Find out why and what he has his eyes set on next. He'll be here. American Sunrise. Back in a moment, everybody.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. You're looking live at Inglewood, Florida. I don't think I've ever been there. I'm Dr. Chi. Thanks for joining us. Time now for today's health news, sponsored by the Wellness Company. And under the microscope today, a breakthrough in the fight against cancer that doesn't involve, get this, any surgeries or radiation. Could be on the horizon, you guys. A new treatment called histotripsy uses highly focused sound waves and water. It creates little bubbles that are injected into the tumor. Then the bubbles go in, they expand, they burst. This causes two things to happen. It destroys the tumor tissue. It can be done multiple times. And also, it causes the body's defenses to act upon the tumor and triggers it to attack. Took about 20 years to develop. It takes about 30 minutes to orchestrate, if you can believe it. Unlike radiation, chemo doesn't impact other tissues or systems. And like I said, can be repeated as often as needed. Patients who faced limited options after cancer had spread are reporting it's life-saving. Very exciting. It is currently approved for primary and metastatic liver tumors, but it is being investigated, so you can already get it if you have liver cancer, being investigated for pancreatic, kidney, and prostate cancer. So if you fit in any of those categories, talk to your doctor and see if this is an option for you. A new administration in Washington, D.C. has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. The reality, though, there's only so much government can do. If we really want to make America healthy again, that's going to start at home, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You hear from their doctors on this network, and you know their products are the gold standard to keep you safe and healthy. They give you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for what happens with their series of prescription medical kits. These kits contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks that assist in the proper use of the meds in the kits. Also, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and more. These can help you stay healthy, live a longer, more satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part. Protect the health of yourself and your family. Go to twc.health/RAV. Today, give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use promo code RAV. That is save you 10%. David Brody. Got to meet with you 2 weekends in a row, by the way. That was so cool. Got to see lots of RAV friends. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you saw them, and they were coming up to me. I actually met two separate women named Kathleen, who watch our show. Yeah. Not related, by the way.
Got to see Jing, Mr. Jing. So many people telling us how much this show means to them. They wake up with us. And some of them actually, for the first time ever, David, were crying saying it. I think it's the Charlie Kirk effect, that they just appreciate maybe a little more what kind of bonds them together as Americans and patriots. But what what a huge honor, what a humbling privilege to be part of that AMAC boot camp this weekend.
It was phenomenal. And I must tell you, not only was the event great, but the people that showed up, I mean, think about it, it was a Saturday. So, you know, you're on a Saturday, you could be doing other things, but these people care so much about our country that they're not just willing to go to this, but willing to get involved. So it's pretty cool. All right. Cool. Now to Oklahoma, Dr. G, where the superintendent of public instruction, Ryan Walters, we know him well, he's resigned. Walters will now become the CEO of the Teacher Freedom Alliance, effective this Wednesday, October 1st. Walters says he's now aiming to destroy teachers' unions, and he wants to assist educators in their mission to develop free and moral American citizens. So, you know, Dr. G, was such a crucial undertaking, if you will. I mean, Randy Weingarten, I mean, you know, do I have to wind you up on Randy Weingarten? She's been called one of the most, if not the most dangerous person in America by many conservatives based on the fact that she wields so much power at the teachers union.
Yeah, you know, it is time now that we are cleaning house. It is really time to take a hard look at a lot of this weaponization of unions. You know, you have your rank and file members who are a lot of times decent people. Then you have your union bosses who 90%, if not more, of union wages collected go straight into Democrat coffers. And then the Democrats pass the legislation that the union bosses want to stay in power. So it's really a direct, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, corruption that has been a long time coming in terms of being exposed, David.
Yeah, you know what's interesting here also, the supervisor of public instruction, you know, like that doesn't typically get many headlines. But because he put the Bible front and center in Oklahoma, not only did he get headlines, but he came under major fire. And you've got to applaud Ryan Walters for standing true for God's word. And here's the key part, Dr. G, not backing down. We need more Ryan Walters here in this country.
Well, he recently announced a partnership between the Oklahoma Department of Education and Turning Point USA to create chapters in all state high schools. Take a look at this.
I'm excited to announce today that every Oklahoma high school will have a Turning Point USA chapter. We have seen the outpouring from parents, teachers, and students that want to be engaged in a meaningful work going on at Turning Point. They want their young people to be engaged in a process that understands free speech, open engagement, dialogue about American greatness, a dialogue around American values. We're so excited to partner with Turning Point USA with this initiative. For far too long, we have seen radical leftists with the teachers union dominate classrooms and push woke indoctrination on our kids. They fight parents' rights. They push parents out of the classroom. And they lie to our kids about American history. What we're going to continue to do is make sure that our kids understand American greatness, engage in civic dialogue, and have that open discussion. We will continue to do all that we can to make sure Oklahoma students have the best education possible.
To have that kind of leadership is such a gift to American society and to our children's futures right now. But David, where do you think this mission will go from here?
Well, it's growing, clearly, and what I love, and I've said this before, you go one step back to go two steps forward, and I feel like the culture got so bad under not just Biden, but of course Obama, and I always think of the Rainbow White House. That's to me, that's the delineation point, right? When that White House became rainbow-colored, that was a sign, if you will, a real demarcation line to say, you know what, this is the new normal. And people ever since then, I think, are standing up to say, hold on for a second. You know what? Gay marriage in 2015 came with Obergefell, which, by the way, long story short, but Clarence Thomas is now suggesting that may be under, that may potentially go away with this new Supreme Court. But the point is that ever since then, now we're into transgender, and gender, not gender affirming surgery, excuse me, gender mutilation surgery for kids. And so, the slippery slope, is coming. It's here. And to me, I think that's the whole one step back to go two steps forward. I think people are waking up, understanding specifically that you've got to fight. You've got to fight. And when Trump said fight, 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 it really encapsulated a lot of things, not just fighting for our country, but fighting for those values that we know are crucial in this country. And I've said this before, and I got this from David Lane, an evangelical organizer, who said someone's values are going to reign supreme. And that's true. I mean, this is a fight over values, and the other side will not give up. They just won't. So do we have the stomach for the fight? That's the key question. Yeah. I know they do.
Yeah, my husband always says every single piece of legislation passed is based on someone's values. Such a great point. That's right. Because the left loves to say, don't impose your values, don't impose your morals on me. Well, listen, if I don't, you will be imposing yours on me. So that's the fight right there, David. All right, appreciate the conversation, Brody. Coming up, Gavin Newsom continues with the feud let me just do this again. Newsom continues the feud with White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. What are they feuding about now? We're going to tell you next on American Sunrise. Happy Monday.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Most people drink coffee just to wake up, but what if your coffee could actually fight aging from inside out? Rejuvenate coffee isn't just caffeine in a cup, it's premium Arabica coffee that's infused with CAAKG, which is a compound naturally found in your body, and it plays a key role in energy production, cellular repair, and longevity. Scientists have studied it for its ability to keep your cells powered and support healthier aging. That means you're not just getting clean, crash-free energy, you're giving your body the fuel it needs at the deepest level. More focus, better mornings, long-term benefits without changing a single habit other than the coffee you already drink every day. So, if you're going to start your day with coffee, make it one that's weaponized against aging. Go to 1775coffee.com/Rav and order Rejuvenate coffee today. Fuel your body, protect your future, and rejuvenate. Well, now that we're caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And who's wide awake this morning and losing it? Well, it would be California Governor Gavin Newsom, who spent his entire Saturday online defending his attack on White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. He called Miller a fascist. Yeah, that's right. Newsom's slur comes after the word fascist was etched into the bullets that were used to kill Charlie Kirk, but Newsom won't walk it back. Instead, he's doubling down. For hours on Saturday, Republicans are even calling it dangerous, disgusting, and deliberate. So we really want to know what you think about all of this. Let us know on Getter. Let us know on Rumble. Hop on. Let your voice be heard. You can also log into our chat group there on YouTube as well. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Coming up, America's NATO ambassador joins us live as Putin tests the West and the world stands on edge.
It's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Patriots, it's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Welcome back, everyone. A live look at Boston, Massachusetts this morning. Cheers was one of my favorite shows there in Boston. Anyway, we'll get you back there momentarily, but first, let's shift our focus overseas. Over the weekend, Russia launched its biggest strike in months. We're talking 595 drones, 48 missiles. Civilian areas were hit, including a kindergarten and a medical center. And this was from Kiev over to Odessa. Children were killed here, homes destroyed, and black smoke was really seen across both cities' skylines. President Trump calling it terrorism. Matt Whitaker, the U.S. representative to NATO, joining me now to discuss. Matt, I want to start the conversation here. I'm curious what the appetite is within NATO to take a harder stance on Russia. It seems from the outside looking in, and I want to be clear, from the outside looking in, that there have been sanctions and people have tried diplomacy, but diplomacy doesn't seem to be working with Russia anymore.
Yeah, well, it's good to be with you today. You know, I think first of all, we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to put as much pressure on Russia to end this war. I mean, I think J.D. Vance, vice president, was pretty clear about that over the weekend. You know, we need to continue to pursue peace. The time is now for a peace deal. But, you know, the Russians also have to wake up and accept reality, to J.D.'s point, that there have a lot of Russians dying on the battlefield in Ukraine, and they don't have a lot to show for it. So we need to continue to ramp up the pressure. Here at NATO, obviously, we have the Prioritize Ukraine Requirements list, where President Trump smartly set up a system where our NATO allies could buy the best weapons in the world, which are U.S. weapons, and then provide those to Ukraine to use on the battlefield. Ukraine wants and needs those weapons and ammunition, and so we're going to continue to facilitate and coordinate that, and that, you know, those are flowing right now to Ukraine. So I think we need to make sure that Ukraine can defend itself, and at the same time, we put more pressure on Russia to end this war. It's almost 4 years. It needs to end.
From a U.S. perspective, do our NATO partners need to take an even harder line in defending themselves and helping to defend Ukraine? And I say that in light of what President Trump always says, is that, look, this is happening on your shore. There's an ocean that separates the United States and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's on your continent.
Well, there's no doubt that our European allies, together with Canada, need to step up, and they are stepping up. They agreed at The Hague, which was the summit this year, the 76th summit that we've had in NATO history since it was formed in 1949. And at the summit, they agreed to spend 5% of their GDP on defense and defense-related matters. And we're operationalizing that. We're seeing a response to these air incursions. We've scrambled fighter jets, oftentimes F-35s that are proven to time and time again to be very successful, not only against drones, but also against, Russian fighter jets. In each case, NATO has responded. We've responded consistent with our doctrines, and we've responded strong. And I think a lot of that's been led by our European allies that are proving that they can step up. So we're going to keep doing everything we're doing here, making NATO stronger, and that strength will ensure the peace. But we are a defensive alliance, and so we need to make sure that we continue to defend every single inch of NATO territory.
Ambassador Whitaker, just in 30 seconds, we're hearing from the Kremlin that Vladimir Putin wants to meet with President Trump again. Is there really anything to be gained from another meeting, particularly in advance of Putin conceivably meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky?
Yeah, ultimately, that's going to be up to President Trump, but I would expect he would say, unless you're willing to make a peace deal, there's no reason to meet. If you want to keep fighting and dying. It was funny for me, the Kremlin had to spend an entire day trying to convince the world that they were actually a bear once President Trump called them a paper tiger. I don't think most of the world is convinced, but at the same time, we need peace. This war's been going on long enough. It is time to end. There is a acceptable peace deal on the table for Russia to accept if they would just agree to it. And so I think President Trump has decided most likely the time for talk is over, and there's no need to meet unless you want to meet about getting a deal done today. So we'll see how that goes. We'll pray for peace, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to definitely pray for peace. Ambassador, always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for being here with us.
All right, good to see you again. Thank you.
All right, you as well. Bye-bye. All right, folks, let's send things over to Emily now for our moment of faith.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
We're following this developing story, a devastating attack at a Latter-day Saints church in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. The suspect now identified. Police say 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, a former U.S. Marine, drove his truck into the church during Sunday service, then opened fire, then set the building on fire. 4 people are dead and 8 are hurt. Officers killed Sanford after an exchange of gunfire. FBI and federal agents are now involved searching the scene and Sanford's property. No motive has been released, but police say neighboring churches have been alerted as a precaution. Local leaders are calling for prayer, peace, and support for the victims' families at this time. We will continue to keep you updated as investigators release more details. Still ahead on American Sunrise, we will be right back with more. Stick around.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Patriots, it's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Patriots, it's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, Portland in the hot seat. President Trump has ordered troops to Portland, authorizing full force if necessary to protect ICE facilities under attack. The president calls the city war-ravaged as protests target immigration detention centers. Oregon leaders now suing to block the president's order. We'll have more. Plus, shutdown politics. Congress just one day actually away from the September 30th deadline to fund the government. Lawmakers still deadlocked as a high-stakes Oval Office meeting awaits later today. We're going to break that down. And who faces the blame? What happens if a shutdown occurs? And how this could impact Americans across the country. And a deadly shooting rocked a Mormon church in Michigan. Authorities say a gunman opened fire, started during a service. It left 4 people dead and so many more injured. 100 FBI agents on the scene and searching for a motive. Those details and more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from the deep state. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm, T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. Don't take this as being rude, but we've got so much to get to that I can't even chit-chat. I think it's time we just get right to it. So, T. Bates, it's a busy day at the White House. You take it away, sir. Good morning to both of you.
Oh, it is a super busy day at the White House, David. In fact, a story that we've been watching for weeks now. Congress just a day away now from the September 30th deadline to fund the government or face a shutdown. Lawmakers are still deadlocked, though, and if they fail to reach an agreement, many federal agents could shut down here in short order. Let's go right to the White House, where Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn is standing by. Brian, there's so much happening there. Typically, we would be talking about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visiting the White House. That would be our top story. But there's so much else happening there that even Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, it's my understanding, came out just a little while ago and talked to reporters just to update you on what to expect today.
Yeah. Good morning, Terrence. So I know the Republicans have a conference call scheduled for 11:15. Then later, Democrat leaders will be at the White House meeting with President Trump to discuss this looming shutdown. But just moments ago, Caroline Leavitt stepping in front of a gaggle of reporters and basically updated and said, look, this is the same CR that Democrats had no problem voting on time after time again. The President Trump does not want a government shutdown, but if in fact that happens, that solely lies on the responsibility of the Democrats as they are trying to actually extend some of these health care benefits is what they want for illegals. That's one of the things they want inserted into, or I should say, one of the reductions of the health care is to do with funding health care for illegals. But the showdown continues. And if you look at what this looked like years ago, we had a 34-day government shutdown that was all basically the famous video of Schumer and President Trump squaring off in the Oval Office about funding the border wall. Well, today it's just let's get this government, let's keep it open. And Russ Vought has been instructed and he has told agencies, Terrence, that if we do in fact have a shutdown, to prepare for mass firings in response to that.
Hey, Brian, keep your cell phone close because I promise you I'll be calling you at some point in time today, and you and I will be talking again today at some point because it's such a busy day there at the White House. Thanks, Brian.
Got that. Thanks, Terrence.
All right, Brian. All right, folks, it is now time for a quick weather update. Joining us now is Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. And Tracy, you are at the beach today, and I'm just going to say one word, Imelda. That's why you're at the beach.
Yeah, you know, Imelda bringing us this nice weather. The rain continues, but the silver lining with Imelda is this storm system is tracking farther to the east. So the tropical storm watches for Florida have been dropped, and we're just expecting impacts along the coastal areas. So we're expecting rain like this, but we're also expecting some breezy conditions for the next 48 hours as we do still have kind of that wind field associated with Imelda. That's going to cause the waves to roll on shore very aggressively. I don't know if you can see behind me, but we do have a handful of people out here surfing. So the beaches are a very dangerous spot right now and even tomorrow, as they're going to be out. The waves are going to be up to about 10 feet, and offshore, the waves getting up to about 12 feet. And rip currents, extremely dangerous along the east coast of Florida, but this really stretches all the way up to North Carolina. So even though this storm is staying offshore, we're still going to feel some of the impacts along the coastline. So we're out here covering it for you guys.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. Imelda, by the way, the 9th named storm of this year. Tracy, we appreciate the reporting. We'll check back with you later on. All right, folks, let's get you back over to David Brody now. David, good morning.
Good morning, T. Bates. On a busy Monday morning, President Trump announcing Saturday morning over the weekend that he's sending troops to Portland, Oregon after days of anti-ICE protests rocked the city and all those people on their bicycles. On Truth Social, he said he's directed the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to deploy troops to protect Portland and ICE facilities under attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. Well, joining us now to discuss what this move means and the response that we're seeing from the left is former Reagan policy advisor, author, filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza. He's got a lot more titles, but we don't have all day. Dinesh, good morning to you, sir. 200 or so troops apparently going to Portland. I guess they're going to have to beware on their bicycles over there. The president, Dinesh, says Portland has become war-ravaged and that troops are needed to protect ICE facilities under attack. So What do you think? I mean, do you see this as a necessary step, or is the left going to try to spin this as federal overreach? I'm sorry, that seemed rhetorical, but good morning to you.
Well, good morning. I think that this is necessary because we are not dealing with a temporary eruption from these radical activists that is just, over a particular incident. It's going to blow over. Tempers will cool. We're all tempted to look at things that way, but these guys have been at it for months. And in some cases, even years. They feel like they control the city, and they function at night. So the mayor, the governor, they'll post photos and go, oh, look how peaceful it is here in Portland, and they show a picture of like a waterfall or a pool. Everything looks very placid, but that's because Antifa sleeps during the day. Then they put on masks and uniforms, and by the way, these are guys who go to combat training. They're very shrewd in figuring out how to play the system. They know that the local Democratic officials are on their side. So this is not simply some external gaggle of, as you say, bicycle-wielding protesters. This is a kind of domestic terrorist operation, a kind of gang that is in cahoots with the ruling Democratic Party in Portland and in the state.
Dinesh, I'd love to get your reaction to President Trump taking the fight directly to George Soros, who, of course, has bankrolled the radical left for decades, also very likely bankrolled Antifa and similar groups. Your thoughts?
Soros is, in some ways, well, he's known to be a brilliant investor, and he has, in a sense, extended his venture capitalism into left-wing activism. And he does it not directly. You'll never see a check. George Soros, $100,000 made out to Antifa. Not like that. It goes through layers upon layers upon layers. It goes through middlemen. It goes through NGOs. It goes through nonprofit organizations. So you need a kind of investigative apparatus to trace this money. Some kind of a RICO case, I think, against Antifa that implicates all the organizations that fund it, all the political entities that support it. This would be, I think, very valuable. It would produce a lot of information, and it would also show precisely where the lawbreaking is occurring.
Well, Dinesh, before we let you go, we want to hear all about your new film, The Dragon Prophecy. Takes viewers from the events of October 7th to the Middle East today. This links history, gives current events and Bible prophecy. Let's take a quick look first, though, at the trailer.
God's word stands firm. The dragon will not prevail. Your message here is become a dragon slayer.
Based on Jonathan Cahn's #1 international bestseller, The Dragon's Prophecy.
Dinesh, what message do you hope audiences take away with them, and how does this film call people to action?
It integrates, people sometimes say that underneath our political war is a cultural war, and beneath that a moral conflict, and beneath that a kind of spiritual war. This film brings it all together. The politics, the biblical perspective, the archaeological perspective, a hint of biblical prophecy. So the film is The Dragon's Prophecy. It's in theaters, really starts 1 week from now, October 6th, October 8th, and then October 9th in streaming. And thedragonsprophecyfilm.com, that's where you get all the tickets, thedragonsprophecyfilm.com.
Dinesh, let me just kind of go there for a moment and talk about, some will call it the far right. I don't call them the far right. I call them the anarchist right, who have gone so far over to the right that they're now kind of exuding a lot of leftist propaganda as it relates to Israel and the Jews specifically. I'm thinking of Candace Owens. I can name others. What does this film do as it relates to explaining the Bible in terms that are understandable to people on that side, though, of course, on that side, they're not going to understand anything. I mean, this is just such an anti-Jew mentality. And, to me, the far left is low-hanging fruit. We know about that. But I think we should talk about what is a real growing threat, which is the anarchist right in this country and the anti-Semitism coming from it.
The film deals with this head on. So, for example, I have the little clip from Tucker Carlson where he says to Ted Cruz, well, how do you know that the Jews of today, he calls them like Netanyahu's Jews, are descended from the ancient Israelites? How do we know that when God made this promise to Abraham, it somehow carries through to Jews living in Israel today? So not only do we discuss this at a very fundamental level through a biblical lens, I pose the question straight to Netanyahu. I say, well, what's your answer to that? And Netanyahu gives a fascinating answer. He talks, for example, about how Jesus was Yeshua. Jesus was Jewish. His dad was Joseph. He was a Jew. The Bible was, of course, written in the Holy Land. When they talk about the temple and Jesus was lost and his parents found him in the temple, there is the ruins of the Temple Mount right in the middle of Jerusalem. So all of this, I think, is very cinematically and engagingly depicted in the film. It's not afraid to take on not just the left-wing critique, Israel is a colonizer and so on, but also the right-wing critique, which I think you're right, is a gathering storm and is a real concern.
Yeah. Dinesh, great to have you as always. Where can people get more information about the film?
Just go to the website, thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. You can get movie tickets and you can also sign up for streaming and DVD.
Let's go get it. Go get it. Dinesh, always great to see you. Thank you, sir.
A pleasure.
All right, coming up, a new report says the government needs to do more to stop theft of SNAP benefits on EBT cards. We're going to break that down and see what the audit reveals and who's really accountable. That's next.
It's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Patriots, it's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm American Sunrise contributor Emily Finn. It's great to have you with us this morning. Time now to drain the swamp, and this morning we are flushing out the bureaucrats who allowed this to happen. According to Just the News, a Government Accountability Office report reveals that fraudsters stole about $320 million in SNAP benefits over a 2-year period. The scheme involved unauthorized use of EBT cards and fake retailer transactions to drain federal welfare funds. Many victims were left without the food assistance they depended on as the mechanisms of the fraud went undetected. Congress and federal agencies are now under pressure to tighten oversight, improve card security, and hold perpetrators accountable. For discussion, let's bring in Dr. Gina, David, and Terrence. Terrence, let's go to you first. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, about time. Something needs to be done. And again, to me, all of this, to some degree, harkens back to DOGE. It harkens back to this kind of new idea of accountability, of fiscal accountability. And so I'm here. What do the kids say? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I am all about this. But this has got to be, ideally, what I'd like to see is some real safeguards put in place that are permanent, that last beyond just a political talking period.
I hear all of these, punishments taking place, and that's all good. But I can't help but get to the spiritual part of this, because we can punish all we want, we can reform, we can doge everything to death. But the bottom line is, you have people who have some real skill here. I can't help but think of the skill it took to pull off a crime like this. That could be applied to productive means in our society that blesses and helps people, and blesses and helps America, and blesses and helps the person that used the skill to get it done, rather than committing a crime. I was thinking about this yesterday. We pulled up, coming back from the airport yesterday, pulled up to a stop sign, and there's this dude, totally athletic, fit, he's got a sign, feed the homeless, anything you could do will help, and he's running around, he's homeless, I guess, and he wants us to give him money. And I'm thinking, wow, with all that physical prowess, and you've got muscles made of steel, and you can jump around and run around through traffic, takes a certain skill level, tell me you can't get a job. So I really think we have a spiritual problem in this country that supersedes any and every single problem we have, David. I think it comes back to that.
Yeah, I do. I agree. And there's people scamming the system, and it's been going on for a very long time. To me, what's interesting, the Democrats are okay with it. They're okay with it. They want increased SNAP benefits. And there's 42 million Americans on SNAP benefits right now. But they want to see more of it. But how about we get the waste, fraud, and abuse? And I hate to use that line because it sounds like a Republican talking point, but it is true. All of it under control first. And to your spiritual point, right? I mean, if you're scamming the system, that's a sin. And that's a problem. And so you're right. I think it does come back to that, and also sowing and reaping, right? You reap what you sow. And so it'd be nice to see, I don't want to call it some punishment, if you will, but some sort of consequence for folks that are scamming the system. Yeah. And there's a lot of them out there.
Bible says he who doesn't work shouldn't eat. And I think that really, we have gotten so far away from what feels so good at the end of the day about a day's work well done, right? A hard day's work. And so far away from that. Imagine if you went back and told a farmer 100 years ago we were going to have 42 million people on welfare benefit. I mean, that's mind-blowing, right? It can't be necessary. I'm not saying there's never a case, but that's what churches are for. That's what neighborhoods are for. That's what family is for. We've gotten so far away from that. We depend on big daddy government for everything. We just need to get back to God. I'm telling you, that is the heart of this issue and almost every issue we discuss on this show.
Yeah. Preach.
Well said. And I wouldn't be mad to see, I'm with you, Dr. Gina, but I also wouldn't be mad to see some sort of rules put in place in order to get these benefits. You've got to work. You've got to clean up trash along your local highway. You've got to do something. You've got to do something in the ghetto. You've got to earn it. That's just me. I could go on for 20 more minutes. And
that's what Gina was saying earlier about values-based legislation, that all legislation is values-based. And this is a great example of it, for sure.
For sure. Yeah. All right, coming up on American Sunrise, we're headed down to Wall Street for the opening bell and insight into how to hold on to your hard-earned dollars with some common sense. We'll be back with more American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence
in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
Welcome back, everyone. We're getting ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It is set to ring here in about 6 or 7 minutes. This is a live look at Times Square as we get ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. So far, so good as it relates to what you can expect today. Again, everything in the green on our board, pretty much other than crude oil. We'll take it to New York for the opening bell shortly, though, and get a quick look at how things are ultimately going to shape up. Let's go now to David, though. David, good morning.
Good morning, T. Bates. All right, time for our daily dose of dollars and common sense. We've got American Sunrise Early Edition host and the guy behind Jake's Take Substack. That'd be Jake Novak. Jake, good to see you. Here's the good news. We don't have to talk about a Jets loss, so that's exciting on a Monday because they didn't play. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, I guess, Jake. What do you think? Let's talk about, tell us this whole situation about Wall Street and how they may have played a role in Eric Adams deciding to drop out of the mayor's race. Kind of square that together for us.
Yeah, about a week ago, there were some Wall Street big investment types who did meet with Zoran Mamdani coming, and some of them said, hey, I think we'll try to work with this guy if he wins the election. I think that actually alarmed the majority of the major investment community in New York City. And so they decided, I think, to put a little extra pressure on Eric Adams. I think that is really the reason why he decided to drop out of the race. I think, and we talked about this in the last hour, I think we both think this is too little too late. Eric Adams should have gotten out a long time ago, and preferably a decent candidate should have decided to run a long time ago. But that's, I guess, water under the bridge. Can't really go back to that. But I do believe Wall Street played a role in pressuring Eric Adams, maybe letting him know that, his chances of getting a high-profile job once this election is over are going to be greatly heightened if he stepped aside now. And so I think that's really what happened here. We'll find out the details. We're going to find out in a few months when we find out what his next job is. Then we'll know exactly what role Wall Street played.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a political follow-up. Andrew Cuomo, anyway, you say it looks like it's too little too late. If everybody got out of the race, Sliwa was not going to get out. Sliwa was not going to get out of the race, right? Are you getting a sense that he would even think about it? He's not going to get out, is he?
You know what? I would like Andrew Cuomo to get in the race. He has been playing a very passive role in this election.
True.
I haven't seen him out on the streets very much. I haven't seen him take to the airwaves very much. I don't think he's really in it to win it, David. So there's another problem, in addition to all of his other issues and the way that he really hurt New York City with his bail reform stuff that he pushed and, of course, his COVID record. He isn't really running that hard. Sorry, he isn't. And that, to me, is a big tell as well. I don't know what his game is. I think he was trying to get some legitimacy. I think he's hoping for people to say in a year from now, boy, I wish he had won that election. And they'll say, hey, guess what? I'm running for something else. I think that's what's going on here. He's really not trying.
I totally agree. He's damaged goods. So this is the guy that everybody's putting stock in. Yeah, good luck with that. All right, Boeing, a big reason why the stock market finished last week strong. So why are investors cheering this the aerospace company here?
Well, Boeing had all those problems with the 737 MAX and then the 787 Dreamliner. They got slapped with some new regulations. The FAA had to sign off on all their deliveries. In other words, do another set of security and safety checks, which was really slowing things down at Boeing. It's hard to tell whether the folks at the FAA had any more insight into what was going on with those jets anyway. So late last week, the Trump administration lifted that extra check, which no one was able to prove made things any safer. And that really boosted Boeing. They were up 3% on Friday. They're up another 1% in the pre-market now. And remember, David, Boeing is one of the 30 Dow components. So when it's up 1 or 2 or 3%, it really boosts the entire market. And I think we're going to get a residual of that again this morning. I think they're going to go up another a little bit, another percent or so. That'll be nice. And we'll see. And hopefully there is no safety sacrifice here. I don't think there is. There are other problems at Boeing that need to be taken care of. Having a bunch of FAA guys check off on something they probably don't understand fully wasn't really the solution for them.
What are some of those other problems at Boeing? Or let me count the ways at this point?
Yeah. Well, look, this is the truth about the 737 MAX problem, which is the real problem at Boeing. The Dreamliner only was a small issue. The fact is the 737 MAX was a good jet, but it was more difficult to pilot. And a lot of the countries that buy these jets have nepotism-based pilot. It's the relatives of major political leaders. And Boeing did warn them and say, hey, look, this is a tougher jet to fly. You can't just put your cousin's nephew into this thing. And they didn't listen. And that's why the crashes the 737 MAX had in 2018 were in some of these countries that have notoriously corrupt governments with state-run airlines. That's all I'll say.
That's all I'll say. Okay. All right. Let's get to those federal workers who either took buyouts or were flat out laid off by DOGE. They have a big moment coming up this week. So tell us about that, Jake.
The checks run out this week. If you took the buyout or were fired, you still got paid until now. This is the end. The last check comes this week. And the effects of all of that are going to be felt, especially where you live, David, in the D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area. And people are watching this very carefully. Those weak job reports we got over the summer, the downward revisions were because of government jobs lost, which, of course, is not necessarily a net negative completely, because when the government cuts jobs, it's like a tax cut for the rest of the economy. And I'm not dancing on the graves of people who have lost their jobs, especially those who are skilled. Yeah. But welcome to the party, pal. Private sector workers get laid off all the time for no good reason. That's what happens. And you do not deserve to be living as a protected class when we have a budget debt of $37 trillion. End of story.
No doubt about it. 15 seconds. Jets, Miami tonight, 0-3 versus 0-3. What's the prediction? You got 11.5 seconds, Jake Novak.
I predict there will be a lot of overpriced food bought by fans who are delusional. That's my prediction.
And that was a very smart prediction. All right. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Time for tea in Denver. That means it's time for Terrence Bates to talk about the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange, and it is sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
We are less than a minute from the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange to start this week of trading. Pre-market trading was looking pretty good. All of the major indices were in the green, up slightly, and hopefully it will stay that way and even increase over the next day of trading. The applause is underway, which means the bell is going to ring here in short order, and then we'll get an idea of how the markets are ultimately looking once trading officially starts for this work week here. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, right on cue. The bell is ringing, which means the markets are now officially open. And just like that, much of the same, pretty much everything is in the green right now. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ are all up right now. The only blemish on our screen is crude oil, but hopefully that means that gas prices will be a little bit cheaper in the long run. We shall find out about that. But hopefully, if you're one of those people who's going to be trading today, it will be a prosperous day of trading for you. When inflation jumps, when you hear that the national debt is over $37 trillion, do you ever think, well, maybe now would be a good time to buy some gold? Whether as a hedge against inflation, peace of mind during global instability, or just for sensible diversification, the Birch Gold Group believes that every American should own physical gold. That's why they created something special. Until September 30th, which is coming up, I think it's tomorrow, if you're a first-time gold buyer, the Birch Gold Group is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. In order to claim eligibility and start the process, simply request an information kit right now. You can do so by texting the word America to the number 989898. Plus, the Birch Gold Group can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate in free metals of up to $10,000. The Birch Gold Group is the only precious metals company so many Americans trust, as do the tens of thousands of customers they already have. So, make right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. Text the word America to the number 989898. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Still to come here on American Sunrise, though. New reports show that close to 300 FBI agents were at the Capitol on January 6th, but only after the crowd had gathered. We'll break down what this reveals and what leaders didn't tell Congress. That's next.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop in our conversation. We're over on YouTube. We're on Getter. We're on Rumble. Get in the chat. Talk with us. And if you like St. Louis-style pizza, I really want you in that chat. I need your votes because everyone else seems to like New York-style pizza. It is time now to take the political pulse of America. The Beat today. New details emerging about the FBI's role during the January 6th Capitol events. Fox News reports that 274 plainclothes FBI agents were on site to, quote-unquote, control the crowd, a move that violates standard FBI protocols, according to former acting D&I Director Kash Patel. Patel says this points to a failure of leadership. Joining us now to break all of this down for what this means to January 6 cases and for the truth about what really happened is Cowboy Logic host Donna Fiducia. Donna, good morning. Donna, I'm just so glad to hear like any dribble of truth coming out about all the things that you and I knew were happening all along with J6, because we know the people up close and personal. And it is really important to talk to them. You know, they're not going to get interviews on 60 Minutes, right? But
only if they're innocent. I mean, only if they're guilty. The innocents never. If they're on 60 Minutes, that means they're guilty.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Or lying, one or the other. But those who are telling the truth and were innocent that day get so little press, except that which really you and Don have given them. Talk to us about this.
I just feel like a broken record, a broken record. We've been talking about this for now almost over 4 years, really. Joshua Black, let's look at the timeline. Joshua Black, who is the face of J6. This is the guy who got his cheek shot out, okay? He got shot at 1:05 in the afternoon. Police were firing on the crowd with rubber bullets and tear gas for well over an hour. Then around 2:30 or so, they kicked a canister of OC spray down the line. Now, OC spray is worse than bear spray, folks, and that's kind of what the crowd had been gassed with now for about an hour and a half at this point. Well, the wind blew back, and they ended up basically blowing the OC spray back on themselves. So they were coughing, and they retreated back into the Capitol. So that is supposedly when Kash Patel says the 274 FBI agents were called in. You can't tell me they were called in an hour and a half. I'm sorry. They had to be there already. We know of a number of people who were there with FBI agents and their families, actually. They were there as J6ers, okay? And then you have the situation with Landon Copeland, who's admitted Antifa, which we had on our show probably about 2.5 years ago. He said he was there with close to 2,500 people. He had no idea who paid him, but he's admitted Antifa. We have a dropped gun that hasn't been looked at. We have Michael Byrd, who shot Ashley Babbitt in cold blood, and he's walking around as a free man, still with his job. Lila Morris repeatedly beat an already lifeless body of Roseanne Boylan. I mean, let's look at it this way. How many rallies did Donald Trump have before J6? Probably hundreds, if not 1,000. And everything was peaceful. But now, right in D.C., when you're in the belly of the beast, all of a sudden, it's an insurrection. I just find this really hard to believe. And, you know, I'm glad it came out. But the IG report, Horowitz said there were 25, about a year and a half ago? And we're like, yeah, right. So at least they're admitting 275 FBI agents. And what were they there for? Were they in plain clothes? Right. Were they agitating? I want to know what's going on, because it seems like from what we've seen, and again, the videos are being withheld because the Capitol Police wield huge amounts of power. And they're the ones who are keeping this from being released, the 44,000 hours. We've seen a lot of it only because we know so many Jan 6ers who were incarcerated for 4 years and they were able to see it. We want to know, with the Shan J6 committee, we want to have a real J6 committee, which Barry Loudermilk is starting to get together. We want to have the subject matter experts, these Jan 6ers, testify before Congress under oath, and you're going to see a total 180. The scary thing, though, Dr. Gina, and this is from a psychological standpoint, so maybe you can comment, it's going to be very hard for these people to admit they were wrong. But we're seeing it in so many different places. We've seen it with the Russia hoax. We've seen it with J6. We're seeing it with all the charges against Donald Trump. They're not going to admit they were wrong. And unfortunately, the scenario with those who don't follow it like we do, it's out there. And people still think that there was an insurrection on January 6th. It was a Fed-surrection, no doubt about it.
Dr. Gina, do you want to respond to the whole psychology of admitting that you may be wrong? Or are wrong in this particular case?
Yeah, I would just add, Donna, that it's not just the people who said all of this from the beginning, the government officials that won't be able to admit they're wrong. It's the media who has reported this as an insurrection for all of these years, Terrence.
Yeah, it really has. All right, let's look right
Donna,
there.
I'm just curious.
I'm sorry, the kid in the red that you just saw walking there, that was Matthew Perna. He committed suicide later on. Does he look like an insurrectionist? Or is that there? I mean, it's a peaceful demonstration, which they're allowed to do in the people's house. There's Matthew Perna right there. It's disgusting.
Really quickly, Donna, 15 seconds, and this can even be a yes or no answer. Do you really expect anything to come of any investigation that may come off the ground, Barry Loudermilk's or otherwise?
I certainly hope so. We do have Ivan Raiklin on our show this coming weekend. He's a lawyer, a Green Beret. He's working with the J6 committee. So let's hope that does happen. But again, are they going to admit that they were wrong? It's very scary because the Capitol Police, in many cases, have more power than the actual congressmen do. And they're the ones that are holding back all of the 44,000 hours, which will show the police. It will show the MPD and the Capitol Police actually firing down on a mostly peaceful demonstration.
All right, Donna, we appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. Give Donna a big old hug for me, as we always ask for.
Love you guys.
All right, Dr. Gina.
Thank you. Back.
All right, take care. Dr. Gina, excuse me, maybe I need what you're getting ready to talk about. Dr. Gina, take it away with Sacred Health.
Going to talk about Sacred Human. All of us care more these days about our health and well-being. We all know it's in our hands. Head over to sacredhumanhealth.com. Discover the incredible benefits of their grass-fed beef liver capsules. Grass-fed beef liver is one of the greatest concentrations of nutrients that you can possibly add to your diet. It plays a vital role in supporting your heart, your brain, your immune system, also boosts your energy and improves your overall health. Sacred Human's beef liver capsules offer a natural alternative to synthetic multivitamins. It provides nutrients in the form your body knows how to use efficiently. This is so key. Many customers are thrilled with the noticeable boost in energy and vitality they experience, and you can visit sacredhumanhealth.com today and use the code SUNRISE for 10% off. You can explore their range of all natural supplements such as sleep, collagen, hearing more about that every day, immunity, magnesium, vitamin D, all designed to help on your path to optimal health. That's sacredhumanhealth.com, promo code SUNRISE. That'll give you 10% off. All right, we want to talk to the CEO of Sacred Human, Trevor Comstock. Trevor, great to have you. Love hearing the story about why you started Sacred Human.
Yeah, Dr. Gina, it's great to see you. We got our start about a year and a half ago, and our whole goal was to really stray away from the big corporate model that oftentimes prioritizes profit over health, and usually just throwing in a ton of artificial ingredients within their products. So all of our products, whether it's the skincare line or our health supplements, we always just give you the real deal. We don't include any preservatives or anything like that. But today, I just wanted to mention we've had a good amount of people just reaching out asking about our new tallow moisturizer and how it compares to other skin creams out there. And also just heads up, we did sell out of it late last week, but we're back in stock. So all good on that front. So I wanted to mention that. But for anyone who doesn't know, just a little background on it. This moisturizer is just made with the two ingredients, which is the 100% American grass-fed and finished beef tallow and the raw Manuka honey from New Zealand. So there's no preservatives, no fillers, no synthetic ingredients or anything like that. And tallow is really amazing because it's almost identical to the natural oils that your skin produces. And again, it absorbs much more deeply as opposed to just sitting on top of the skin. And what's great about it is it's also loaded with vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, as well as K, which your skin needs to stay healthy and radiant. And as I mentioned, we just paired it with the raw Manuka honey, which is a naturally occurring antibacterial, anti-inflammatory.
Okay, but Trevor, how did you do that without making it sticky?
So it's actually each jar is handmade. We have our team in Idaho. It's the way the full process of it. They curate everything and craft it, but it's essentially when you apply it, it's not greasy or sticky. It's the way they formulate it with the tallow and the raw Manuka honey together. But again, it's not sticky at all by any means. And again, if you want to compare it to other skin creams on the market, the issue with those is that they're usually just full of synthetic ingredients that can actually damage the skin barrier over time. Many of them have like alcohols, cheap fragrances, and all of that. that's really not beneficial for your skin. So again, we exclude all the junk from it. We give you the raw natural ingredients. And it also works great for things like eczema, redness on the skin, as well as just daily hydration. And again, it's intended for men and women. You can apply it on your face or body.
Yeah. Now, back to the liver products. What can you tell people as far as health benefits for those who aren't aware?
Yeah. The beef liver is amazing. The best way to describe it, it's almost like a natural multivitamin. So it has a range of vitamins and minerals, things like amino acids, peptides, but you'll get a wide range of vitamins such as like CoQ10, folate, iron, zinc, vitamin A, B12. The list kind of goes on and on. But what's amazing about the beef liver is that your body can much better absorb and retain those nutrients as opposed to taking like a synthetic multivitamin where oftentimes your body will just flush out those nutrients. So because your body is able to retain these nutrients and minerals, you get a nice little energy boost, which if you go through our reviews at sacredhumanhealth.com, you can sift through those and people always just talk about the energy boost, which is amazing.
All right, Trevor Comstock, we appreciate it. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, we take you behind the show chat with the RAV Chat Report. More American Sunrise in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
Let's spill some tea.
All right, let's spill some tea, fueled by Artillery Tea Company, the only America First veteran-owned tea brand. And their mission to maximize flavor with whole leaf blends and chemical-free tea bags. No junk, just real tea. And here's the tactical advantage. Each bag brews twice. Just go to artilleryteaco.com and use the code LIBERTY for 20% off your first order. Again, that's artilleryteaco.com. Premium tea, mission-driven, and brewed for the brave. It is time now to spill some tea, and in the cup today, you guys at home who are with us every day watching the show and chatting it up with our other RAV family members on Getter, Rumble, and Instagram. Here with the chat room report is RAV family member and chat room dweller, Carefree Largo. Carefree, so great to have you on the show. You always put a smile on my face. Kick it off for us. What was going on in the chat?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. This morning is all about what happened last week in chat. And boy, what a week it was. When we think about Donald Trump at the UN, that was certainly a lot of fun. He says, I went to the UN and all I got was a big mess. Jag in our chat jumped up and says, man, I loved watching President Trump dress everybody down, while Kathy Heumann said, if you think about it, Biden would have been grated like cheese had he fell on that escalator. And I've got a feeling she's probably right. American Repairs pointed out that had this happened with Joe Biden, he wouldn't have been physically able to walk up those stairs. And you kind of have to wonder what that might have looked like.
Absolutely. Carefree.
Well, we wondered after watching everything. There was an old book back in 1959. Ian Fleming wrote Goldfinger for James Bond. And one of the things that he put in there was, in a series of events, if something happens once, it's happenstance. If it happens twice, it's coincidence. But 3 times, that's a plan. And when you talk about the teleprompter, the escalator, the microphone, all happening at the same time at the UN, those are things that are simply never heard of. And I don't think people in the chat buy that it was coincidence whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think they do either, Carefree. You know, he was on fire during that speech at the UN. That was pretty entertaining to watch.
Oh, it was amazing. I think he's best when there's no teleprompter there. And I think it was good that the teleprompter finally got turned back on so he would revert back to the speech that he had so the people in the audience could handle it a little bit better.
Sure, sure. Well, speaking of teleprompters, you know, Jimmy Kimmel was reading off a prompter this week as well. A little bit of an apology. Can we call it that, Carefree?
I got to tell you, I am so thrilled to think that this may be the very last time that I ever have to say the words Jimmy Kimmel. It was kind of, I guess, surreal last week. Dr. Gina had made a point of saying that she stayed up late to watch him, basically for the apologies for what he said about Charlie Kirk. And then out of the blue, the Charlie Kirk effect hit Jimmy Kimmel because for the very first time on his show, he actually invoked the name of Christ. And for people like me, that's a small victory. And I would hope that it wasn't just using Christ's name for his political advantage, but I hope maybe a real turn to Christ is what most of us are praying for Mr. Kimmel. I guess time will bear that one out. We'll see where that goes.
Absolutely. I think it's great that we have seen so many people going to church, praying, opening their Bibles. You know, I think this is the Charlie Kirk effect. It's awesome. Carefree Largo, thank you so much for giving us the update on what's going on in the chat. We always love seeing you on the show.
Good to see you. Have a great day.
You too. All right. Do you need a smile to start your day? We are right back with more on American Sunrise in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered. Patriots, it's time to gear up. Real America's Voice has an entire lineup of merch made just for you.
We got some Rav fans out here.
We watch you every day.
From mugs that start your morning strong to hoodies, hats, t-shirts, pants, vests, flags, and so much more.
Yeah, I noticed it. I mean, that caught my eye big time.
Every piece lets you wear your pride loud and clear. This isn't just merch, it's a movement. When you shop Rav, you're showing the world you're proud to be part of the Real America's Voice family.
God bless Real America's Voice.
So don't wait. Scan the QR code right now or visit realamericasvoice.launchcart.store to shop today.
Thank you, Real America's Voice, for doing true journalism.
Stand tall, be bold, be proud. Represent your voice with Real America's Voice.
It's good to have a real news network out there, so I'm a big fan.
Use code RAVSWAG10 for 10% off.
Real America's Voice rocks.
back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Thanks so much for joining us today. It is time now for our Sunny Side Up. And in the pan today, proof that light still shines. He's best known as Tommy Grand, but these days he's on a mission to rescue man's and woman's best friend. Tommy Habib joins us this morning to talk about our pets, our little fur babies. Kobe, you might want to tune into this. It's how to keep them insured against the unforeseen, his show To the Rescue, and this week's adoptable pup in need of a home. Welcome to the show, Tommy.
Well, thank you, Gina. Happy Monday. And as you said, I've got a smile on my face. And I'm hoping all of you guys out there are smiling too. And I'm hoping the ones out there that have always thought that they wanted a pup in their life or they need an extra friend, they can adopt a dog this week. And Gina, how about this? So we have this cute little wire terrier, Scrabble. I sent some pictures. I hope that y'all are able to put up a picture of Scrabble today.
You guys, we've got the picture of the dog.
Please. Oh, my gosh.
Because this one's not up for adoption, but...
Come on, but that one is pretty darn cute, Gina. So listen, Scrabble, anyway, you can go to therescuetv.com and see Scrabble if you want to adopt her. I mean, such a sweet pup, little wire terrier, loves to play. And the best part is... loves to cuddle. And we need that in our life, right?
We do. We'll get those pictures up eventually. If not now, I'll show them tomorrow and I'll just talk about it again. But, you know, it really is important to adopt and not shop. And I maintain, Tommy, that when you adopt a dog, when you rescue a dog, they know it. I feel like my rescues, you know, I have 4 dogs, just lost ones. I did have 5. I feel like my rescues... They know and they appreciate me more. Am I crazy?
No, you're not. You know, these dogs, what's amazing about them is they truly come from God because they just know nothing except love, right? And the rescue dogs, for some reason, they have this innate thing in them that they know that you saved them. And so they're pretty special. And I've heard that from thousands of people across the country. You know what? An amazing thing, too. This month, we have 2 days left, but this month is National Service Dog Month. So everybody, we got 2 days to, I don't want you to approach those service dogs, but when you see one, just to yourself, say, God bless you, you sweet dog, for taking care of this human that you're watching over today.
Absolutely. And they can do all kinds of things now, by the way, from allergies to obviously any disabilities and on and on. Talk to us about pet insurance, Tommy, because I'll tell you what, I am really confused about it. You know, I keep thinking, is that something my family should invest in? Tell us about that.
No, I will tell you, and people they're not quite sure what to do, but, you know, it's so important because if your dog in so many, the most common thing that someone takes their dog into the vet for is when they eat something and they're choking and they have a problem, or they swallowed a sock or a ball or a toy. That visit is $3,500.